This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Hey, gets a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
I'm very sad to report at the start of today's show, we've had a casualty right out of the gate. It is what it is. Our last dive bar coffee mug, as we are rearranging the set today, as we always like to have a different look. As you see, we got Ricky, we got Raleigh, we got Ray Fosse. I have the last dive bar beer stein, but I always like to have the mug up here because it comes in so good, and it broke. Brian, last dive bar, I need another one because this is one of our best props, Cody, because it comes in so well being white with the colors. And last dive bar, lastdivebar.com for a lot of your great Oakland Athletics gear. Not official gear, but, you know, great gear. You see a lot of the shirts that I wear. Is that sad? That's how we start the show today?
Well, when it first happened, I was worried that it was Bill Walsh being a casualty once again. But
Bill's still here. San Jose State. Bill Walsh is still here. Bill's good. Bill's alive and kicking. We'll get him in there today.
Yeah, I was worried it was Bill again because I remember when Bill broke the first time, and it was a sad scene.
And thank God for Gorilla Glue, and Bill Walsh, the greatest football coach of all time, is back in business. I got so much going on today. I'm dangerous. I'm going to admit, I've been doing a ton of research today. I've been up for a long time, didn't play golf, and I've just been coming up with a lot of stuff. And I want to start today with the word randomness. Randomness. We as human beings, and if you watch MLB Network, if you really are somebody that is into baseball at this time of year, I know everybody's not, that there are so many people just glued to what's going on with the National Football League. I get it. Nothing's bigger than the NFL. I understand it. I worked in it for years. But if you're following baseball, the word randomness is the word of the day, and it scares the hell out of people. I'll explain. Before that, Sarah Lang from MLB.com is going to be here at 1:30. Our buddy Geoff Blum from the Houston Astros at 2. Roxy Bernstein will have to explain how San Jose State and Cal both lost over the weekend, and we'll talk, of course, baseball with him. And Tom McCarthy, voice of the Philadelphia Phillies, the Fightin' Phils. They're one of the great stories. They're part of this word of the day, randomness. Randomness scares people. I want to read you the definition of randomness. And I think if you've watched any of the coverage last night, today, this word really puts a bow on everything that's been going on, even though we can't put a bow on it because we got Game 5 tonight between the Yankees and the Guardians, and it's coming on right after us, so that's going to be awesome. 4:07 first pitch from the Big Little Ballpark in the Bronx. The quality or state of lacking a pattern or principle of organization, unpredictability. That is the definition of randomness. And that fits exactly what we are talking about in our sport right now that a lot of people are having a hard time dealing with because they don't like randomness. Once again, the quality or state of lacking a pattern or principle of organization, unpredictability. Really, the two things in this definition, according to Webster's Dictionary or dictionary.com, is the lack of pattern. I just think of Dodgers right there. Lack of pattern. And the other, unpredictability. Everybody wants it to be predictable. They want to be able to control it. We're a business that is run by control freaks, type A people. They want to control everything that goes on. They want to control everything about the athlete. They want to control everything about the game. What you eat, what you wear, when you show up, how you prep, how you play, what happens during the game. They want to control every at-bat, every moment. And guess what? The definition, randomness, unpredictability. And when you are a slave to this, it can get you far, but it may not get you over the hump. And people are freaking out, especially people in LA. And I'm loving it. I am loving it. I think this is so great. Reading LA Times yesterday. I don't know if any of you subscribe, but reading the LA Times and trying to figure out once again how the Dodgers, who everybody is going to tell you, nobody spends more money on data than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Nobody. They spend so much. Forget just the money on the players. Certain teams spend a lot of money on players. Mets, Dodgers, Yankees spend a lot of money on players, but they also spend a ton of money on this data that is supposed to put them over the top. As a business, why would you hire all these guys who have PhDs? They are employing a lot of people with no baseball background. They're data crunchers, they're PhD guys. We've told you that the Dodgers are basically operating their business like NASA. So there's a rocket. We got to get that rocket into space. For the Dodgers, it's the World Series. So they have all these people that work for them. This is what we have found out. That you, as an employee of the Dodgers, you get put in certain departments. So like NASA, you're only working on part of the rocket. Each group works on a certain part of the rocket. Well, unlike NASA, for baseball, you need to protect your intellectual property. So they've got so much science and data going on with the Dodgers that they put, let's just say I hire Cody. Cody, do you want to work for me? I'm Andrew Friedman.
Yes.
Okay, so I hire Cody. I'm going to put Cody in my breaking ball department. And Cody being, I don't know, maybe you went to Caltech and you're a brilliant scientist guy. You're going to work with science, technology, everything that we have to make all of our pitchers breaking balls better. So you're going to let every guy's different. Everybody's anatomy is different. So your release point is different. Your grip is different. But you're going to take every guy and you're going to figure out how to make every single guy's slider, cutter, curveball, whatever they throw, slurve. You're going to make every guy's pitch better. And you're going to use the data to give to your pitching coach to give to the pitcher to make him better. Does that make sense?
Yes, I'm following along.
Okay. So I hire you, you're in breaking ball. Then I hire other guys who are in hitting, other guys who are in fastball, other guys you're in all these different departments. What really hasn't been told to the public is the fact that all of these departments don't interact. Yes, you're all employed by the Dodgers, but you all don't hang out. You may not even know each other. Why? Because they know that other teams are going to come in, like the A's, and we're going to hire somebody away. So they don't want their intellectual property being poached. So, yeah, you may hire Cody away to the A's, and Cody can bring his knowledge of what the Dodgers do for breaking balls. But Cody doesn't know the whole system. Only a few people know everything that's going on. The smartest guys in the room. We're the smartest guys. That's who we are. And in the end, what did it do? Their system works. They keep it works in the let's go back to the definition of randomness, right? Let's go back to the definition. It works in a 162 game schedule where you play every day. Why? Because there's patterns. Remember the definition here. The quality or state of lacking a pattern. What don't you have in the postseason that you have during the regular season? You don't have your regular pattern. And then you have unpredictability. Well, things are more predictable when you play every day for 6 months. You get into your groove. You get into a lot of talk about with having the buys, rhythm and timing being broken up. All of a sudden, everybody's in a panic. Oh, my God, we only got 5 games. It's not fair. The Braves had their rhythm and timing. Dodgers had their rhythm and timing. Yankees lose today. Oh, their rhythm and timing was broken. It's like, I don't know. What do you want to do? You want the wild card teams to play with one hand tied behind their back? I mean, how much more an advantage do you need for having a good record in the regular season? How much more do we got to give you? What do we got to do? Do we got to you get to start every game with a 2-run lead? I mean, play 7 games. Well, we can't play 7 games. We're getting rain in Southern California, for God's sakes. We cannot play well into November. Our sport just doesn't work that way unless everybody wants to go out and get a retractable roof, which I don't think that's going to happen. We can't be playing we're not hockey. We're not an indoor sport. We can't play a bunch of 7-game series forever. Doesn't work that way, or the NBA. So you're going to have a lack of a pattern. So all your technology and all your data and everything that you rely on, like I said, I got 20 pages of numbers today of more stuff that you could think of. Doesn't matter. All this stuff doesn't matter. You take all of it and throw it out. And to me, it gets back to one thing. And what this tournament now has become, and I think it's awesome, goes back to just get in. Just get in. Just get in. And I want to remind everybody. Now, Cody, you and I weren't on the air during the lockout because it was smart to keep us off the air. I totally agree with that. But, Cody, do you remember what the Players Union was saying about this extended playoffs and how it was in the COVID year?
I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure you do.
Oh, yeah. The baseline. So much of people complaining about baseball, they want to throw on the owners and the commissioner. And there's so many times, if you really, really looked into it, you could blame it on the players. Yeah. The agents and the players, and the agents who essentially run the players, who essentially run the Players Union. The Players Union didn't want this, if you recall. But see, trolls like me remember all this stuff and like to remind you. This beautiful thing we have going on right now, Game 5 between the Guardians and the Yankees, Houston already moving on. Padres, Phillies. You kidding me? The energy in Philly and San Diego. You gonna tell me that's not good for baseball? I'm telling you right now. I will have to see how the ratings work, but for fans, we as fans in different markets, we gravitate to these stories. We love newness. We love something that's different and exciting. Dodgers in Atlanta, we've seen that. Now you just have crazy fan bases right now. They're going crazy in Philly. They're going crazy in San Diego. People are going to gravitate to that because it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting. And as a baseball fan, you go, man, that could be us. Just get in. The Players Union said they did not want to see expanded playoffs because this disincentivizes owners to spend more money. Think about that. You're seeing, if I'm an owner and I'm thinking, man, look at Philly. There is a great picture out there. Well, we call it a GIF.
Most likely, or yeah, well, that's a moving image. But if it's a picture,
it could be static image.
Maybe a meme.
So there is a meme out there right now that I've sent to our good friend Paul Himbakides of ESPN of two girls fighting. Don't condone fighting. It's awful. But it's two girls fighting. One girl's trying to lay a haymaker, and they've got the icon of the Braves and the Mets on the two girls. So obviously it's catfight. Off to the side, they have a young gentleman smoking marijuana, watching it, smoking a pipe. And the static image is the three of them in the picture, but then there's another picture of just him. And it basically says, this is the NL East. You had the Braves and you had the Mets fighting each other, and you got the Phillies off to the side smoking weed, having a good time, just laughing as they're still partying and playing while the two fighting are gone. I think it's hilarious. I'm not promoting fighting. I'm not promoting smoking marijuana. I'm just saying it's on Twitter. It's pretty funny. But it kind of tells the story, right? Here you got the Philadelphia Phillies. They sat back all year long, one loss, fired their manager. Like I said, they've been like a summer ball team that got hot at the right time. And the two teams have spent all this money. The two teams that, oh my God, the resources that they have now. The Braves just won the World Series. Mets have the richest owner in baseball. They're gone. They're absolutely gone. Hey, the Mariners got in. Let's not forget. I know they got swept and they fought to the very end, but the Mariners got in. There's reason. Hey, just get in. But the players' union said no. I want everybody just to remember that. The players' union said no. They thought what you're seeing now, which, by the way, I think we're seeing is great for baseball, I think it's great for baseball. I haven't seen the ratings. Have you seen the ratings, Cody?
Not yet. I mean, maybe they'll put something out after the Yankees Guardians series because everyone's going to see how the Yankees did in the.
What's Monday Night Football tonight?
It's the Chargers hosting the Denver Broncos.
Chargers hosting the Denver Broncos. That will not be a high-rated game. That is a bad Broncos team and a LA Charger team that has no fan base. So you'll get your traditional football watchers, and that's more a West Coast game. Yankees. Okay, I'm not saying baseball is going to beat Monday Night Football. I'm just saying this won't be a massive number for Monday Night Football. It'll be a good number because anything NFL is a good number, even though the games yesterday were horrifically bad, and these Thursday night games have been horrifically bad, and Sunday Night Football has been bad. Football so far this season hasn't been great as a product, but it doesn't matter. Football's king. They're going to get the rating. But the Yankees Guardians tonight will get a number. That will definitely get a number. So I'm interested. Once again, the Players Union thought this would disincentivize. Did this disincentivize the Padres from trading for Josh Hader and trading for Soto and Bell?
No, not at all. It actually incentivized them to go out and get them.
Nope. Once again, remember what the players wanted. And I'm not even really going to say the players because players in that discussion last year were stooges. It's the greedy agents. They thought this would be bad. I don't know now. I mean, we're going to make a list of all this stuff for the winter meetings. Because no one does the winter meetings like A's Cast Live. We're going to have a list for all these baseball people. We're going to write down some themes for the winter meetings. Does just get in really exist now in baseball? Or all the GMs going to realize I don't have to win 100 games. I got to win like 88, 92. I just got to get in. How about this one? You really want to script the entire game? if you're the Dodgers, now it was a very funny line. When the Dodgers in the next week are standing over a 6-foot putt and thinking about this, basically saying, Dodgers are done, time to go play golf. They going to think about this? I wrote down today. Can you see that, Cody?
Hold on, let me check. Your chicken scratch, I can see you have a lot written there.
Do you see what that is?
Oh yeah, their contracts. Is that contracts or the relievers?
These are the pitchers of the guys who pitched for the Dodgers.
I see Almonte, Vesia, Phillips.
Mm-hmm. Canely, Chris Martin. These are the guys. Once again, you spent millions on players, millions on front office. I guarantee you, their staff, their payroll of their front office, I would love to know the number. I would love to know the number of full-time, part-time, independent contractors, all the technology and data, all the technology they pay for. I would love to know what it costs the Dodgers a year. Wouldn't you love to know that number?
Yeah, especially with how big their research and development and all that is. They have a lot of people encompassed in that front office. So yeah, I would love to know what they're paying their people to do all this research, because it's going to be fascinating.
I want to know the number that said Tyler Anderson is cruising. Tyler Anderson told the LA Times, I got it right here, I could have gone another 5. He's dominating. He's 5 innings, 0 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. So, Cody, he's giving you everything you want. No hits and strikeouts. Isn't that what you love?
Yeah, that's the name of the game, especially now in the postseason.
But the script says, got to get him out, because we got to go to the law firm of Martin, Canely, Almonte, Vesia, and Phillips. Do you realize you've spent millions of dollars, millions on technology, millions on front office staff, but you didn't spend millions on the guys actually pitching in a winner-take-all game? Well, it wasn't winner-take-all. For Dodgers, they had to win to move on. But in an elimination game, I want you to think about that. Just think about this from a business standpoint. If I own the Dodgers, can I have permission to be the owner of the Dodgers?
They have like 9 owners, so yeah, I'm sure you can be. Or
I'll be the managing general partner. I'm not Magic, because I can't be.
So you don't want to be Magic? Okay.
I'd love to be Magic, but I can't be Magic. Magic's rich and has a great life. Magic won what, 5 titles?
That is correct. Yes.
Hold on. ESPN, you go to ESPN, it takes over. Hold on. Okay. So I'm the managing general partner, and I sit down with you. I'm not Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts is a stooge. The fact that people are talking about Dave Roberts, you think Dave Roberts is making these decisions? Have we not seen over and over and over again, this is not Dave Roberts? He's doing exactly what they want him to do. I'm sitting you, Commander Cody. You're Andrew Friedman. I'm going to sit you down. I'm going to go, okay, explain to me. We got the second highest payroll in baseball. We're paying a tax. I've got how much your R&D department cost, your research and data department, and it's costing me millions. I mean, I'm spending how much money on all the technology in the minor leagues? I'm spending all this money on your payroll for your research and development. I'm paying you. How much do you think Andrew Friedman makes a year? 6-7 mil, maybe 8.
He has a pretty good track record coming from Tampa into the Dodgers, so probably.
I'm paying him at least $6 million. How much do you think? So I'm going to go over the salaries of the guys you threw out there in a must-win game. When you're spending millions of dollars on everything else, this is what you spent to beat the Padres on the road in a do-or-die game. Tell me if this is smart. You know how much Chris Martin made last year?
Under $1 million, probably.
He made 2.5, but he was traded from the Cubs.
True.
Enjoy that money coming from the Cubs.
He's also like 36 too.
Tommy Canely making $3,450,000 Okay, that's some money, but in our game, under 3.5 is not big money.
Coming off Tommy John.
What do you think Almani makes?
Like 700,000.
700,000. What do you think Vesia makes?
Probably like 850,000.
720. What do you think Evan Phillips makes?
Rule 5 guy, probably around 850.
720.
Wow.
So you spend all of this money, and when it comes to do or die, 3 guys you're pitching at the end of the game make $700,000. I'm paying you, Andrew Friedman, $6 to $8 million a year. You cost me more than the 5 dudes you pitched after Tyler Anderson. You cost me more money. Is that good business? You spent all that money as the Dodgers to basically go cheap with your bullpen and to have those guys have to get 4 innings. Is that a good business decision?
Permission to be Andrew Friedman and retort.
You are Andrew Friedman. I'm asking your ass right now. You spent no money on these jokers who lost me the series.
Okay, you got to remember here now. You could be Peter Guber, one of the owners of the Dodgers, also owner of the Warriors, a co-owner of the Warriors. Guber's part of that group. You got to remember, we lost Kenley Jansen last year, and we replaced him with 4 guys that make way under what he signed for with the Braves. So we saved money right there, and we won 111 games. But
wow,
I don't know.
Wow, you would not be good negotiations.
I was just trying to channel like the
you need an agent. Bro, you need an agent.
We're trying to do the money ball. We replaced Giambi with 3 guys.
I just told you went cheap and lost, and now you're trying to tell me how you saved me money. I'm not saving money on you. I'm spending a lot of money on you, president of baseball operations, or whatever the hell your title is.
Our best reliever, Blake Trinan, is coming off an injury, and we really couldn't use him. And we told Dave not to use Evan Phillips in Game 4.
You have an unlimited checkbook. You could have signed, hey, Kenley's still healthy pitching. I would have took Kenley Jansen over any of these clowns. You're pitching a bunch of guys making $700,000, and I'm spending millions in research and data and development.
Sadly, it's the way the game's going anymore with relievers. All these guys are no-name, faceless guys, as they mentioned. Kent Rosell mentioned with the Rays. It's a bunch of guys that throw hard and no one knows, and none of them make any money. Like the guys who
the Rays. That works for the Rays because they don't spend money. What I'm saying is, I'm the Dodgers. I'm spending more on my president of baseball operations than I am on the guys throwing 4 innings in a do-or-die game. I'm probably spending almost as much on my general manager. So between my president of baseball operations and my general manager, what does Tyler Anderson make?
Probably only a couple million. I mean, I can pull it up real quick.
I'm spending more money on my president of baseball operations and my general manager than the actual guys pitching in an elimination game.
Anderson this year made $8 million for the Dodgers.
I mean, it's almost like Friedman and him are a push. And then you talk about these relievers. That's something I want to hammer today. So we have Sarah coming up at 1:30.
Correct.
Right? And of course, Sarah has been diagnosed with ALS, and got our heart. As soon as she comes here, our heart goes out to her, and she's special. She's been, and you've seen the reaction around baseball has been very special. We got Game 5 to talk about tonight. But by the way, just get in. If that is not a mantra that we got at the winter meetings, Cody, I'm going to keep this word randomness, because you could tell already, MLB Network, there's people like going, see, that's the problem. It's a crapshoot. That's a sport. Got to play a sport. How many games? Do you want to make them 12-game series? I mean, how many games do we have to give the division leaders? And, oh, by the way, something that we found out here with the Golden State Warriors. Did the Golden State Warriors win 73 games and then win the championship?
No, they did not. They lost.
When the New England Patriots were undefeated and faced the Giants in the Super Bowl, did they win?
They lost.
So we've had recently historically great regular season teams not winning the postseason. What does it tell you? It tells you that your regular season dominance does not matter in the postseason, and it's overrated the way that we just gush over these teams.
I think if I read it correctly, I think only 4 teams since 1999 that won 100 games have won the World Series. So
your regular season, the fact that you get on a roll and you just start beating people and you beat up on the bad guys, it doesn't translate. It just doesn't. But for some reason, everybody wanted to crown the Dodgers champs. And if the Yankees lose tonight, everybody wanted to crown them in June. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really, our sport needs to kind of look in the mirror and stop with the, whining about the playoffs, whining about the regular season. It's like the postseason's unfair. How is any of this unfair? The NBA plays 5-game sets in the postseason.
Brian Sinker, the manager of the Braves, who won 100 games, said the last time I checked, the division series has always been 5 games. I'm fine with it. So you got the guy of the reigning World Series champion, the manager, saying he's fine with it. I think we all should be fine with it.
Dodgers should be more worried about going 5 for 34 with runners in scoring position. 5 for 34. I mean, we can talk all we want about. I can hold this up and do the pitchers and what, but they're 5 for 34. You're not beating many teams going 5 for 34 with runners in scoring position. It's just not happening.
By the way, Sarah is now here.
Bring her on.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're doing wonderful. And I just thought, after you came out with your diagnosis of ALS, the pouring of Major League Baseball, just not few people, just not New York, all of Major League Baseball coming out and wishing you nothing but love and luck and everything that goes involved with this, I thought was really, really special. And it tells you how much you're loved in our great baseball community.
I mean, I am still speechless over everything. The segment that you two did, what was that, last week? I have no sense of time. But when you guys did that soon after I announced it, thank you guys so much. I was crying. I have spent so much time crying, but crying for a good reason because, I hope that people who see this see how incredible the baseball community is, because that is my takeaway, is that the baseball community, unlike any other community, any other sport, really cares for its people. And I knew that, but I had never experienced it in this way. And I'm still so overwhelmed and just so grateful.
Well, I know at this time, it's your favorite time of the year, so you got a lot of playoff baseball to watch, to tweet about, to educate us with everything on MLB.com. Of course, your Twitter account, as we always say, is second to none. So, Game 5, winner take all. You move on, you go home. What do you think about tonight's game?
Well, first of all, I hope we get a game tonight. Apparently, weather forecast not great, although I am sitting here just outside New York City looking at blue sky and a couple of clouds, but nothing like a pouring rainstorm. So I hope that we get a game tonight and that this series is not subject to more rain out and just issues with pitching that might come from that. But I'm really fascinated to see what happens. I mean, my absolute favorite stat in the postseason right now is the fact that home teams in winner-take-all games have no advantage whatsoever. In winner-take-all games in postseason history, home teams are 61 and 63. We already saw a home team lose one in Game 3 of the wildcard series with the Mets losing to the Padres. And it's just the funniest thing because any sportsman would tell you, oh yeah, being at home, home crowd, all of that has to help in a pressure-packed situation like that. But it turns out it doesn't. And of course, there are a million things at play. But it's just one of those stats that totally boggles the mind.
Yeah, it does. And we've really been seeing it where in other sports too, where you started seeing a lot of teams win on the road in the NFL in the postseason. We started seeing it in hockey where you had 8 seeds making these great runs, even winning the cup. It doesn't happen so much in the NBA, less players, tougher to beat the better teams. But there's something about baseball, football, and hockey where we've started to see that home field advantage. Just the way everybody grows up now, the world's a lot smaller. I mean, you're born and raised in New York. So, years ago, if you're, in the 50s or the 60s, and who knows where you grew up, and all of a sudden you came to New York City, you'd be like, oh my God, it's New York City. But the world's a lot smaller today. And going to New York City, and now with interleague play, all players play at Yankee Stadium. They play at Shea. They go to Dodger Stadium. Our guys are not so bright-eyed anymore. It's like you go to Yankee Stadium, it's really, I know New York still tries to talk it up, and the broadcast will talk it up, but, these Yankees haven't been to the World Series since 2009. They've lost a lot of home playoff games. The bright lights and the Bronx and that whole thing, I just don't think it's there anymore.
It just doesn't seem to be a specific advantage. But then you look at what happened on Saturday in San Diego, and the fact that those fans basically willed their team to 3 runs and then 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th in the pouring rain. That felt like a clear instance of home field advantage. The way those Padres fans were so into everything going on. It was 3-0. It was, as you were talking about before you brought me on, team that won 111 games, team that was so dominant. And there, it really did feel like there was a home field advantage because we saw that flip just so quickly in a way that it had almost never happened for the Dodgers in the postseason. They'd only lost, I believe it was 3 games all year when leading by at least 3 runs in the 7th inning. That felt like San Diego as a home field advantage, but it's fascinating that they might, even if the Yankees don't. But I think more so than whether it's the bright lights or anything, these Yankees are not the Yankees that won 3 straight World Series. I just think there's a different type of good team here, and it isn't necessarily the same dominance that we saw, in the early 2000s and the late 90s from the Yankees.
Well, I got to tell you, I totally agree with Harold Reynolds last night, and I've been saying it, and I fight it, and I feel like the more and more things go on, I'm right. Garrett Cole was paid for one thing. Wasn't any analytic, wasn't anything that a lot of people try and throw on us. He's paid to win games, and he's paid to win games like last night. I give Garrett Cole, he's paid to win game 1. He's paid to win that game. I give Garrett Cole a lot of credit. That's the pressure of New York. That's why you signed for over $300 million. That's when an athlete is living up to his contract. They're not paying him to be the darling in the regular season. They're paying him to be the darling in the postseason. And you know as well as anybody how tough it is to be a darling in New York. He did it last night. I was very impressed. How about you?
Absolutely. I mean, he was talking after the game with Lauren Shahadi, and I believe she had done the report during the game, talking about how much it means to him to be an ace, the idea of win day, the idea of being the ace on the mound in that situation. And of course, even if the Yankees lose tonight, Garrett Cole did exactly what he is being paid to do, to your point. You don't give these guys those huge contracts for the regular season. The same way you don't trade for Juan Soto for what he did in August. You trade for him for what he's going to do in October for that team. So, I mean, it was really great to see. And I feel like, if anyone had ever had any doubt that Garrett Cole had, earned his pinstripes or whatever the phrase may be, and I know there are plenty with that team, I really think he proved that last night. Facing elimination, putting them in a great spot to win, did exactly what he was paid to do. It's all he can do. and he did an outstanding job.
Well, we'll see how it goes tonight. Savali against Taillon. And if this does go, again, obviously the Yankees are favorites, minus 150. That's the last time I saw it. But the one thing that I thought was interesting, and I went back and checked it, I'm like, yeah, that's right. Place, Karinchak, Trevor Stephan, they haven't pitched since Friday. So, I mean, if you're looking at back of the bullpen, I think you got to say that they got a little bit of an advantage.
They definitely have the late inning advantage. They've had it the whole series, but it really felt like at a certain point last night when Terry Francona brought in Eli Morgan and the guys that he went to late in the game, that was make sure we are set for tomorrow no matter what. Not that he gave up the game in any way, but this is a Hall of Fame manager, and a Hall of Fame manager is thinking ahead. He is thinking and knowing that you need to be ready for Monday night in New York. And we saw him in El Clase with a career-long outing on Friday in New York, 2 1/3 innings. I would expect that if they need him to do that again, he absolutely will. And same for Karinchak and Trevor Stephan. I mean, those guys are rested. This is a bullpen that did not allow a run in their first 18 2/3 innings this postseason, including the Rays series and the beginning of this one. That is basically why they're still in this. They're not a home run hitting team. They don't do those other powerful things, but their bullpen has been spotless, almost spotless.
I got to tell you, if there's a guy that looks like a Yankee and plays like a Yankee, and I knew he grew up right down the street, Harrison Bader, 3 home runs and 14 plate appearances. And we know what kind of defensive player he is, especially what we saw in St. Louis. I mean, does this guy not look like he fits in? Clean shaven, that jaw. He looks like a Yankee.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's so funny because when this trade happened and Jordan Montgomery got off to that great start in St. Louis and the Yankees pitching was struggling, I was going on shows, SNY and other New York area shows, defending, saying, I know you haven't seen Harrison Bader yet, but I promise you are going to love him. He is an electric player. He plays a very important defense. He's fast. His bat was really the question, but he is doing exactly what they acquired him to do. He is changing the game with that defense and speed, and these home runs have been incredible. He and Charlie Keller in 1939 are the only Yankees to hit 3 home runs in their first 4 games in the postseason with the team. I mean, it's just incredible. You think of all the guys who have played for the Yankees in October. It's him and Charlie Keller in 1939. But, I would just love for all those Yankee fans to go back, get back into their feelings right around August 15th. When Harrison Bader was injured and they hadn't seen him, and Jordan Montgomery was like 3-0 for the Cardinals. It all worked out, and you are getting a great player. And the fact that he gets a chance to play in a winner-take-all game for the team he grew up rooting for, not far from where he grew up. I mean, that is the exact energy you want on your side. So it really all worked out, and it's so great to see him thriving in that way.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic tonight. Hopefully we get a great game. As I said earlier, this isn't going to beat Monday Night Football, but I think we'll get a good TV rating tonight. A lot of eyes are going to be on this game. We love elimination games. Hopefully we get it in, because I'm just looking at it, with tomorrow, the NLCS starting. Man, if you push this thing back another day, I don't even know what the weather is in New York the next couple days. It starts to really get you off track, and that's just that is not good, because they're going to get going in San Diego. By the way, San Diego, Philadelphia, 2 teams. No one thought they were going to be here. The gambling public didn't think they were going to be here. And I look at them, you got two teams that believe. You got two teams that got the it factor. They totally believe. They slayed their monsters. Philly slaved Atlanta. San Diego slaved LA. I mean, this is going to be a clash of two of the hungriest fan bases, two teams that got nothing to lose. How do you see it?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you saw how much energy is behind these two fan bases on Saturday. I mentioned what happened in San Diego in that game with the rain delay at the beginning and the pouring rain in the 7th inning. But in Philadelphia, it felt like a club. I mean, you had Rhys Hoskins spiking his bat. You had music bouncing every half inning. I mean, they were so into it. I'm so excited for both of these fan bases and for the Nola brothers who get to face off and know that one of them will be in the World Series, which is pretty amazing. But I mean, I think it's so tough. I think starting pitching wise, I tend toward the Phillies a little bit with Aaron Nola, with Zach Wheeler, and the fact that you can bring them back later in the series. Yu Darvish has been very good. Joe Musgrove has been. We'll see if he continues to be. Blake Snell kind of continues to be a question in the postseason, how deep he goes into the game, all of that. But that bullpen that the Padres have is the reason that they're there. We saw the beginnings of it in that Mets series. That was really what kept them in it. And that ended up being the difference maker against the Dodgers. The Dodgers had a struggling bullpen. Padres had a spotless bullpen. The Phillies bullpen has been the butt of jokes for years. And this year, they've Zach Eflin coming in out of the bullpen. It's kind of piecemeal. We've seen it work, but I'm curious if it will continue to work. And I'm expecting another big series from Juan Soto and Manny Machado. They both had really key hits in that decisive game, and I feel like they will kind of bring that momentum. But I think these teams are kind of evenly matched in a way, not just because their win totals were too apart in the regular season, but they're both coming in with so much momentum. And even though that's not quantifiable, that sort of feels like that's what's uniting them at this point.
Well, Sarah, it's so great to see you. It is. You look beautiful. We love you. You'll have all the support you'll need from us. Anything that we can do for you, you know that we'll be here for you. And we're going to still call on your brilliance because you are absolutely brilliant. So it's wonderful to see you. And a lot of love.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So good to chat with you and enjoy the games.
We'll be in touch. You be well.
Thank you.
Wow. It's tough, man.
Yeah, it is. When I first found out about it, it was sad. I mean, I immediately reached out to her and wanted to make sure everything was okay. And, she was overwhelmed with so much text and everything. She got back to me a few days later at like 9:30 our time. So it was midnight for her. And we're texting for like an hour. It just shows how much she cares and how close we've gotten with her over the last couple of years. So she knows we love her and we're there for her. And
she's so strong. I mean, because the thing is, it's like, you don't come back from this. You don't. You get diagnosed with this, and hopefully she's young enough, because I know that I've seen some stuff recently that there's some experimental things going on that, you'd be like, this is a death sentence. You'd be like, I don't care if it's experimental. What do I have to lose, right? I just saw this thing with they reunited for Back to the Future, where Michael J. Fox is now, and I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah,
and there's nothing that we, that you really can say. That's why it's to see her be strong. Because I would have broke down if we really. To see her be so strong is special. By the way, is my camera what's going on? I can see I got all these weird looks. Is that going out?
It went away when you turned off your Wi-Fi. and then it's still bad. No, now you're not even there. So nothing.
I'm back.
No, you're not back on the screen. So it's something with your internet. Oh, there you are. Now you're back.
I'm back. I don't know. I'm just, you know what? Let's go to break and I'll restart my computer.
Okay, let's do that.
All righty. We got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
The Eno Sarah Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Two-time All-Star and World Series champion Stephen Vogt joined Townie on A's Cast Live to explain why Oakland is so special to him.
This is home. It always has been, always will be. We've loved everywhere we've played, right? I mean, that's one of the things that I've learned throughout my life and career and been told by mentors is be present. Wherever you go, wherever you're doing, whoever you're with, be 100% present with them and in that moment. And I've tried to do that in every aspect of my life and in every season of my life. But when I think about my baseball playing career in the major leagues, the first thing that pops into my head is the Oakland A's. And the 13 playoff run, the 14 wild card game, the All-Star games, and coming back this year for this final season, and just enjoying being back in Oakland, being in the Coliseum, getting to kind of put a stamp on those relationships that were formed the first 5 seasons I was here, and I couldn't have asked for a better finish on a personal level than to come back to Oakland and be with the people that helped mold me into who I am as a baseball player and as a man.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And Ring Central's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. Ring Central. Message, video, phone, together.
Some things just go together. Peanut butter and jelly, cookies and milk, Oakland and Kaiser Permanente. If that last one caught you off guard, it shouldn't, because Kaiser Permanente has been helping keep Oakland healthy since our very beginning. And as the official healthcare partner of the Oakland A's, that won't be changing anytime soon. Whatever you may need, you can trust Kaiser Permanente to help keep you feeling your best. Kaiser Permanente. Thrive. Visit kp.org today.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3for1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity Internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
The skipper, Mark Kotze, was on A's Cast Live and discussed his message to the club heading into the offseason.
I was loud and clear yesterday. We had a discussion about obviously what we've done this year, how we've grown, and the expectation level for next year in terms of the preparation, right? And it was built off yesterday's or the night before's game in terms of, just the transitional from the guys that are on the roster that won't be here, the guys in the room that should be here, and the guys in the room that need to continue this culture, and that's that grit, right? We talk about this long-term perseverance, this commitment to a goal, right? And it starts now, and it starts in their training for this offseason. So, like you said, no guaranteed contracts, 33 rookies, 64 players, I think, or more.
64.
And just the focus has to be, we're going to come out next year, we're going to continue to incrementally and get better, but with the expectation to win.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrie locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
We are back. How's it look?
From what I saw, let me pull it back up. You look good right now. There's no blurriness on the screen. It's all good.
I know what it is.
What was it?
What do you think it is?
Well, I thought it was the internet because it was so blurry.
Why would it be the internet? The internet's fine. The internet has not changed from any time. Why would it be different?
I don't know. Spotty service. I don't know.
No, that's not how. When you're hardwire connected, that's not how that works. That's Wi-Fi.
Well, that's what the camera's worried because I thought because of the Wi-Fi on the camera.
The camera was on Wi-Fi, but now it's that. You know what it is, Mister? It's not anything that I do. It's your dongle.
What's wrong with it?
When I plug everything back in through the mixer and then do my hardwire, the blue one works fine. I don't know.
I use that same one. I use a different dongle, but I use that same cable though every time. So we'll have to get a new dongle then.
Case in point, doesn't always work.
Well, it's still the internet.
See, I was going in and out. It was going in and out to Wi-Fi. That's why I was spotty.
Yeah.
Let's see the blue wire connected through the Amazon Basic connector. If that works, then it's the dongle. Because right now the internet hasn't changed.
Yeah, that dongle might be bad. I have a different one that I'm using right now for here.
Is Blummer going to be on video?
He claims he's going to come join us via video, so we'll see. By the way, guess who I just saw in the office when I ran over to use the restroom facility here? Billy Bean was here.
Did you say hello to Billy Bean?
He's in the middle of a conversation. I can't just interrupt.
Can everybody? I just got sent this. Can you read that?
Hold on. I got to make it full screen to see it. For sale, I see $100 a Dodger van, but what is it?
The Dodger bandwagon. You really can't see that?
No, I see it now. I had to make the full screen image.
Do you read the bottom?
Let me see. 2014 bandwagon, barely driven. I can't see the very bottom. My eyes are terrible.
Runs out of gas in October. the Dodger bandwagon on sale for $100. 2014, low miles, rarely driven, and runs out of gas in October. They're this is going to be a lot of talk. Like, yes, they won the World Series, and I think that World Series was very important. I give them credit for the COVID World Series because how tough we all lived that. But there's something about a full regular season into the postseason. And, you could say, well, they didn't have Walker Buehler. You could also say they didn't have Trevor Bauer. But you know what? You got all this money. You had the ability. They could have gone out and gotten Castillo, right? I mean, we know it would end up happening with Frankie Montas, but let's say that didn't happen. They could have gone out and got another starter. They could have got more relief help. They didn't do it. And here they are. It's like the smartest guy in the room outsmarted himself again. Right?
Yeah, it is. By the way, Blummer's here.
Oh, there he is, the Cal Bear.
Dude, check it out. Right there.
You know what that is right there? That's College World Series.
That is the one.
Yeah. That's what we call big league right there. How are you doing?
I'm great. How you doing, Townie?
I'm really interested in tonight's game as wow, so much on the line, winner take all, Yankees at home, but for some reason, home field advantage, when you look at the actual records, just doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't really matter in baseball, football, hockey, NBA still, but there's something about home field advantage that just doesn't ring like it used to. And obviously you guys are watching big time tonight because that's who's coming to Houston.
No, you're right. How about go all the way back to 2019, the World Series between the Washington Nationals and Houston Astros.
Yeah.
Not one team won a home game. It was unbelievable to watch that series go 7 games and realize the Nationals won 4 games in Houston's turf to win that World Series. So to your point, it really doesn't matter. It's just a matter of who's hot at the right time and getting the big hits when they need them.
Yeah, and we'll get to the Astros as, we just don't know who you're matching up against and who you think's going to match up better. Just want to, looking at the National League, obviously you played in San Diego. I'm sure you were rooting for the Padres, and just looking how the Dodgers conducted their business. And once again, we're not going to let starters go. It doesn't matter how they're pitching. We're taking them out. You go to the law firm or the bullpen. And I was just talking about earlier how you start looking at the salaries of these guys where you're throwing a bunch of guys in a must-win game who all are making $700,000. You spend all these millions in research and data. You spend all this millions on your front office and all these independent contractors and data scientists. And in the end, you got a bunch of guys making $700,000 are deciding your fate. I think it's crazy. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, you're crazy. It's both the two richest teams in baseball, other than the New York Mets, have bullpens that are put together, kind of mixed and matched and trying to hope for the best. I'm with you in that sense. If you're going to spend all that money and, it's almost that Los Angeles Angels mentality where Artie Moreno goes out and spends millions upon millions, almost $1 billion on offense, yet there's nobody to put an offense down on the opposing side to allow your guys to win those games. And then you have the Dodgers, like you said, they have the payroll, they have the ability, and they also have an analytic department that hamstrings those guys that you're putting out there because, like you said, 2 times through the order, it doesn't matter how you're doing it. And this can go all the way back to 2017. No matter how you feel about the Houston Astros, there were a couple of games. Rich Hill's game is the one that jumps out to me, where he took him out after 4 innings because he felt he had a better option in the bullpen. But now he doesn't have that option in the bullpen, but he also doesn't have that starting rotation to go out there and really kind of, give his ball club an opportunity to win late in games. And then it becomes, oh my gosh, is this guy going to do it tonight? Who's it going to be this time? And that's a lot of pressure to put on guys that are only making $750,000 because that means that those guys don't have a lot of experience, period, let alone in the postseason.
As a player, Now, you don't have this with Dusty Baker, obviously. I mean, Dusty Baker, you can say this with AJ Hinch, too. I mean, these guys were making decisions. I just know for a fact, Kevin Cash, it's all scripted in Tampa. Same thing for Dave Roberts. So it's like when people want to come down on Dave Roberts, you're like, he's doing what he's told. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. The old days of Sparky Anderson and Earl Weaver and Tommy Lasorda, those days are dead. Dick Williams, those days are dead. But as a player, what would it be like, everything that's happening to you, when you hit, when you don't hit, when you pitch, when you get taken out, is all decided really before the game, and it really is out of the manager's control. How would you as a player, I'm not going to say you're going to disrespect the guy, but like, how would you feel about the respect and love for the manager if you knew he really wasn't calling the shots?
Well, that might be why the Astros are playing so good behind Dusty, because he understands, he's kind of evolved a little bit, even since the time we saw him here. He understands that this is a highly analytic game right now, but at the same time, he still has the ability to, maybe to overrule some of the decisions and go out there and make what he feels like is the best decision. You can have all the information you want in the world, but if you're putting a guy out there that's under the weather, or just got in a fight with his wife, or just spent the night in the ER with his daughter, with a broken arm, how is he going to perform? He's not going to perform up to what your algorithm says, because your algorithm is static. It doesn't have, a human emotion involved in it. That's what makes managing these days so much better, when you do have somebody who understands the player and can motivate them. That was one of the unique things about AJ Hinch for me, was talking to him and understanding that he understood the analytic part of it. And I said, well, how do you get these guys all pushing in the right direction? He goes, I have to talk to them individually. And I think that, Dusty Baker's the same way. He goes, I got to find out what that guy's motivation is. Is it getting him in the right position to go out there so somebody takes a great picture and he gets a ton of likes on Instagram? Or is it, the next contract? Is it an incentive somewhere else? So you got to find a way to motivate these guys and put them in positions to win. And I think that's what a computer can't do at times, is figure out the best pocket for a guy, or putting him in the best position. Is he capable in this given moment? And that's where the manager steps in. You and I both know, working around and being around highly analytic teams, it all looks great on paper. It all looks good for 162 games. But when you get into these compressed series, where you've got to ride a little bit of emotion, you've got to ride momentum, you've got to ride a hot hand, there are going to be certain guys who analytically look better, but they're not pitching great at the time. And guess who that manager is going to go to? He's going to go to the guy that he feels he can trust at that moment. And that's what makes Dusty so good right now.
Yeah, I think about, this whining now about, well, I mean, is it really fair that they had the time off and it was a 5-game set and blah, blah. I mean, it's a crapshoot out there. We've heard that for years in Oakland. It's a crapshoot. And you're like, It's a sport. We need to play. And I don't know what else we need to do to these division winners. Do we got to tie the wild card teams arm behind their back and they only get to fight with one arm? I mean, what advantage do you want? You want to be up 2-0 every game? I mean, you've won a World Series. You guys had the it factor. You know what that's like. It's like, stop this whining. You the winner, you lose. What are you bringing to the party?
Well, I understand the severe disappointment of a team like the Dodgers, or the Mets, who fought like crazy, but they got overwhelmed by the Atlanta Braves, who eventually get knocked out of the playoffs. I'm a little more disappointed on the Braves end, because I feel like they did a very good job, and they did get ice cold after such a strong finish to the season. Because we always talk about, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the Braves finished extremely strong, and they thought they earned that number 2 seed to get that 5 days off before, whoever was going to come play them. And maybe it did settle down the bats. Maybe they didn't handle it as well as they had wanted to. And, a lot of the concern is, well, we had too much time off. Well, how do you know you had too much time off? Is it because you lost the series, or is it because your bats went ice cold, or because your bullpen gave it up? There's really nothing you can point to other than saying, well, when you do say something like that, I think it screams more, we weren't prepared. And I understand baseball has a lot to do with rhythm and timing, especially on the hitting side, but there's ways around that, and you should be able to do that. I played in 05 where we won our championship series against the Angels. We had 5 days off. But we also had a bullpen that hadn't been used very much in that championship series. We had guys on the bench who didn't get used at all in the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. So we went out there and literally faced our bullpen every single day until the World Series started. And there was plenty of time for regulars to step in there and keep their timing and see what's going on. But I think a lot of this is on the player, it's on the organization. And I think now that you have these these massive markets like the Yankees potentially losing tonight, if they do, the Dodgers, that's when you might see Major League Baseball step in. Because if it's the Astros or the Athletics, they're going to be like, they lost, too bad. But if it's the big markets that they want in the playoffs, they're going to go, man, we need to restructure this so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Well, I think about the NLCS. I think this is actually great for baseball. You may say markets. Well, Atlanta's a pretty big market. LA, obviously, market too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not fresh. I think what baseball is seeing right now, they're seeing excitement. I mean, people are going insane in San Diego and Philadelphia. Take us back to your World Series. It's a Cubs town. It's Cubs. All of a sudden, here comes the White Sox, the Southsiders. I mean, the White Sox hadn't won a World Series. What was it, like the 50s?
Oh, I think it was Black Sox. It was something like 88 years, It was
like you guys took the town over. What was that like? I mean, the thirst, and all of a sudden you guys were in the World Series. Chicago went nuts for you guys.
Yeah, well, first of all, the baseball gods were smiling on me because I can't stand the Cubs. I loved playing against them, loved beating up on them, and then we finally get the opportunity to go play for the White Sox on the South Side, and we start to run away with the American League Central, and the tide starts to shift. You could literally feel it start to shift in that city down towards us, and by the time we ended up in the World Series, there were monuments and sculptures out in front of the zoo, the aquarium, out in front of Soldier Field. Everything, every statue or anything you could put a pair of white socks on had a pair of white socks on it. It was amazing. So everybody kind of latched on to the idea that we were going to represent that city as well as we could, and kind of push the Cubs off to the side. That was a lot of fun. But you get to that point, any market, any city will absolutely embrace what's happening. And I think it's what's remarkable about San Diego is they're finally getting a dividend on the money that they've spent. But it's kind of interesting too now that they are literally the only product in town. So I give them a lot of credit for going out there, making the effort. And I give those guys a lot of credit for going out there and playing as hard as they did to beat a team that beat up on them 15 times throughout the course of the season.
God, I think about it, man. You're a part of a statue. Like, that's amazing. Like, just think about that. I mean, like, forever. I mean, I want you to live forever, but we won't live forever. But you are going to be a part of that World Series statue forever. That's incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible. I don't know. I still to this day don't know how to put it into words. My triplets who were born that same year, they're going to graduate from high school. And at the same time, I felt like it was just a couple of years ago that I was, taking that big swing. But the fact that they immortalized it the way they did that you're talking about is even better. And it's nice that the way they did it, I don't know if anybody's ever got the chance, but if you go to Chicago, it's right in front of the front gate at Comiskey Field or whatever they call it now. But they took about 5 or 6 great moments out of that World Series. You've got AJ raising his mask. You've got Uribe making a great play in the stands. And of course, Paul Konerko's grand slam in there. So they did a really good job of encapsulating it. And it just so happened that I happened to be one of those moments. But yeah, when my kids start harping on me going, "You're an old fuddy-duddy," or "That was a bad joke, Dad," I've got one in the chamber. I can go, "Hey, remember the statue?"
I'm a statue guy. That's all you need to say. When you look at the Astros sitting here waiting, Astros didn't have a problem with the time off. Yeah, you had one long game. You did it in 3. You took care of your business. Just how do you feel about this team, Dusty, the team? And really, let's be honest, for some of these players, they win this World Series, they can kind of flip the bird to everybody about what happened in the past.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I would imagine there's a little bit of the goal in winning the World Series is the ability to be able to do that because they do take so much heat on the road. Oakland A's fans have done a great job of letting them have it when they were on the road. And it's understandable. It's obviously on the West Coast. It's not to the extent that they get it, in stadiums like Yankee Stadium or maybe even a Dodger Stadium. But I do think that there is that underlying theme of, if we go out and win this thing, will everybody just get over the fact that we handled things inappropriately in 2017, maybe on an extreme scale. I'm not sure if that'll happen, but I think what's fascinating to me to watch is knowing that there's about 5 guys from that 17 team still on this ball club. Yet you have sprinkled in 21 other guys through the system, or via trade or via free agency or a waiver wire pickup. But every guy that comes in there points to the name on the front of their chest, and they kind of pick up the torch and carry it with those guys who have that scarlet letter of 2017 on them. And they want to go out there and they want to win a World Series so that these guys can kind of be exonerated like you're talking about. But probably a better question for you, Townie, is if, it's a long ways off, they've still got to win 8 more games, but if they actually won that World Series, does that exonerate those guys, or does that lessen the stain of 2017 for those guys?
I still have the scar of the Tuck rule and Tom Brady, if that just lets
you and me
know.
both.
So no, it will never. It will.
Well, that's
a
great example.
It will never leave me. The
Mhm.
Astros, the Patriots will never leave me. But I'm someone that's so invested in it,
True.
and it means so much to me. What this organization means to me, the battles that we had, I won't be able to let it go. But I think the average baseball fan will. Time heals everything. And let's face it, with Tom Brady's career, no one really remembers the Tuck rule, but Raider fans anyway. So no one cares. I was thinking about Yordan Alvarez, and what, I don't think people realize just how big he is. He is a big dude. He's a big man who hits. He hits like a guy that's not that big. He's got the big power like a guy that big, but the way that he has such great back control to all fields, enough people don't know about him. We've seen enough of him to go, oh my God, we're going to have to deal with this guy forever. I mean, truly one of the special players in our game.
Yeah, because like you said, when you do see him, he's all of 6'5", 240. He's built like an Adonis. And we marvel at his ability to go out and batting practice and hit baseballs, 450 feet with just a flick of the wrist. And then, fortunately and unfortunately, he's hit some of the biggest home runs of his career against the Oakland A's, both at the Coliseum and that big 3 home run game that he had at Minute Maid Park. But at the same time, I think it kind of discounts his ability to go out there and hit, because when you start to broaden that view a little bit and check out the numbers, he's a 300 hitter. He is a 400 plus on base percentage type guy. He's not he's barely got past, I think, 100 strikeouts for the season. He's not a 200 strikeout guy. He is going to put the ball in play. He's an RBI machine. There's a lot of guys that I was able to play with throughout my career who really knew how to drive in a run. And what I mean by that is, if a runner's at third base, less than 2 outs, infield's back, it's going to be a ground ball to the middle of the infield. Run scores. It's going to be a runner on third base, infield pulled in, long fly ball, sacrifice fly. It's a guy on second base, and instead of taking that one pitch that maybe you try and open up on and try and launch to the pull side, they kind of inside out just drop a nice little base hit in center field or right field going to the opposite field. Here comes the run. Yordan is that guy, and he's actually – he will benefit from the shift being removed from the game. But at the same time, I really think he took advantage of the, watching him on a daily basis. I can say that he took advantage of those shifts being played against him in RBI situations, because he's not afraid to let that ball get deep and drive it the other way. He's not afraid to get jammed and hit a little dink shot into left field, as long as it pushes a run across. His mentality is, help the ball club first. But of course, he's got enough thunder in that bat that if he gets a mistake, it's going to get absolutely tanked.
Let's end on this. Yankees, Indians. I mean, if I'm the Astros, I really don't care. It's like, bring either one. We're going to smoke either one. But if you had to say better matchup for the Astros, who do they match up better against? Would it be Yankees or would it be Indians or Guardians?
You know what's crazy is I've thought about this quite a bit, and we went through Cleveland, a little bit later in the year this year, and watching what Bieber and Tristan McKenzie did to the Astros, I'm sitting there going, okay, if you try and fast forward a little bit, but here we are, and I'm saying I'm not sure this is probably the best matchup for the Astros as far as an offense. The Astros offense against the Cleveland Indians pitching. And then you have the emergence of Karinchak and some of the other guys. And then you've got Clase out there throwing 100-mile-an-hour cut fastballs. This guy's insane. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking at those 2 starters and at least 3 guys out of their bullpen where I sit there and go, man, if they get deep enough in the game and they can give the ball to those guys, that's going to create a real issue to come back on. And then you shift your focus to the New York Yankees, and knowing what the Astros offense did against their pitching staff and knowing that their bullpen is I'm not sure Boone knows who he wants to bring in. And I see that and I go, okay, the offense can compete against that. And then you shift over to the Cleveland Indians side on offense. You got a couple of guys in that lineup that might surprise you and get a big hit. I know Gonzalez is going well, but there's one guy in that lineup that I do not want to beat me, and that is Jose Ramirez. This dude is unbelievable. I know he's not hitting the ball hard right now, but he still finds ways to get hits, and he drives me nuts. But I think you can pitch to that lineup. Those would be probably some very low-scoring games in that series. And then you shift over to the Yankee side, and we know that the Astros went out there, no-hit them in the Bronx. They have a ton of swing and miss in that lineup. I know Hader's in there that's a little bit different, and they've got some younger guys. A Kiner Falefa can mix in there who makes a lot of contact, but they can be pitched to. So, like you said, I think the matchup is better for the Astros against the Yankees, and I also think, and you could correct me or you could give me a little input on it too. If you're the Astros, don't you want to go through New York so that nobody can say, well, you didn't beat the Yankees to get there?
Ooh, yeah. And you've just already, ever since that wild card game that Keuchel pitched.
I know, you're right, going back to 15.
The Astros have been beating the Yankees in the postseason, so it wouldn't be anything new. I kind of like that going, you know what? Let's just take care of their ass, and then no one can say anything. And then you kind of wish the Dodgers were there and beat them, but they're not.
I thought the same thing. It was right? That's what's frustrating about the Braves and Dodgers not getting in, because then you say we beat the reigning World Series champions, and then you go back, and it probably would be even sweeter if they had the ability to go out there and beat the Dodgers, just to say, okay, you thought we couldn't do it back then? Well, we did it again. So who knows?
Quickly on that 100-mile-an-hour cutter, people got to realize that a cutter is a fastball that just moves a little bit. It's not a slider. It's not a slurve or a over 12-6 curveball. You faced the guy that had the greatest one, but he wasn't throwing it. Mariano Rivera wasn't throwing 100. No. What is it like hitting that pitch that just seems to be unhittable?
So we a lot of the language that we use these days is swing decision. And the swing decision is so hard on a cutter because you can't pick up the rotation. It's sometimes it's very subtle. The curveball has a very distinct movement to it and spin to it. Obviously, the fastball jumps out of the hand, but the cutter is coming at you at fastball rates of speed. And facing Mariano Rivera, I couldn't pick up the rotation. And by the time I thought I was going to be able to anticipate where that pitch was, it broke further than I thought it would, or it broke off where I was anticipating it getting to. And it all of a sudden, the barrel, you're working with about 4 inches of wood bat that are called the sweet spot. And if you don't get it off that sweet spot, it's either going to break your bat or it's going to take the life out of it. You're going to pop it up. You're going to hit this thing. Yeah. And that's the idea of the cutters, just to move that baseball enough off of there. But think about the ability at 101 miles an hour to have the brain figure out, okay, that's the cutter. It's coming in at a ridiculous rate of speed, and I've got to anticipate the break to get to it. There's a lot of things going against the hitter, and it's amazing Clase has been able to do that. But that's what makes that pitch effective, is even if you think you have an idea that you're going to get to it, there's just enough break on it to make you hesitate. But with the speed and the movement, leave you really not much of a chance other than to guess and hope for the best.
Would you back up, maybe get a little closer in the box? What would you do with Rivera? Because you knew it was coming. It was coming. Yeah. They didn't even need to call sign. They didn't need pitch com. Cutter's coming, and it's coming, and it's coming.
He told you.
Yeah, it's coming. So, did you make any adjustments?
It's funny you say that. There's actually a couple of guys. So I switch hits. So I hit against Mariano Rivera left-handed. I know for a fact, because I played with Jose Cruz Jr. in the American League East when we were in Tampa. He hit right-handed off him so that pitch was actually going away from him. I didn't have the guts to do that, but I did what you were talking about. I would stand in the box in my regular stance, Mariano would come set, and as soon as he started his movement, I would back off the plate a little bit as he was getting his delivery ready to come home, because I knew if I didn't do that, I was going to get absolutely destroyed on the inside. He severed at least 6 or 7 of my bats for sure.
God, that's amazing.
Yeah, he
Amazing
was
that
good.
one guy could just go, hey, everybody, this is what's happening, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Trevor Hoffman had a changeup. I could have bought a bus ticket, waited all night, and I wasn't going to be able to stay back on that thing.
And he's huffing and puffing, and he's coming down the mound, and
just never
time.
gets there.
By the way, the Cal jersey is sweet, and I know our fans will love that.
Dude, I had to. I knew I was coming on. They said video was going to be involved, and I went digging, and I found it.
Good call. That thing should be in glass, for God's sake.
Well, considering what it smells like right now, it might not be a bad idea.
Was that worn in Omaha?
Oh, that was the game, yeah. I'm not sure if the patch might be on the other side, but yeah, I think that's the one, yeah.
You're big league.
Hey, I've been around, man. This game's done so much for me.
I mean, you're big league. I mean,
think about what Cal and baseball have done for me.
Yeah, it doesn't suck. Good education, World Series, now great broadcasting career. You've had a good baseball life, my friend.
I have. And now I'm hanging out with you. It's even better.
Oh, are you doing radio? Are you doing anything during the rest of this playoffs?
Well, I can't bury the network I work on because I like my job, but they're not doing anything. But there's a local TV channel here in Houston that's actually hooked me up and allowed me to do some pre and post with them.
That's the one thing that is so rough. Like, it's your broadcasters, it's your guys. They love you, they follow you, they believe in you, they watch you every night. And then all of a sudden, I now got to turn it on to TBS, and I'm like, really, really?
Yeah. We you've been around some of these national broadcasts where they'll ask you for, you try and give them as much information as you can, but they'll have it and they'll just regurgitate it. They don't have the emotion, the passion, or, the familiarity on how that story should be told to really relate to the fans. And that's where I think it gets lost a little bit, where you don't have at least one local guy on that show to be able to provide a little more insight, a little more light, and maybe a little more emotion to some of those stories. But yeah, it's very frustrating that you get to, the players get to move on. They played 162 and they get to move on. We called 162 and we can just kind of go, all right, boys, see you later.
Yeah, you get kicked to the curb. See ya.
Yep.
All right, my friend. I can't wait to talk to you before the World Series.
Hey, I look forward to it. Anytime talking to Townie is good for me and good for my soul, man.
Good luck to you guys.
Appreciate it.
The great Geoff Blum, the World Series hero, Astros broadcaster. See, I like the way he thinks. I want the Yankees. Beat them, then go to the World Series, then you want to beat the Dodgers. But now it have to either be the Phillies or the Padres. Man, you don't care. I've said this, Cody. You want that journey, right? Warriors, I want to beat LeBron James in the finals. And now beat LeBron James in the Western Conference. You want to beat these certain people. But in the end, once you win the championship, does it really care who you beat?
No, I like the narrative for this because of Garrett Cole pitching against the Astros. If it's the Yankees Astros, Garrett Cole maybe pitching in Houston, where he was on the team that beat the Yankees in 2019 and went on to the World Series. I'm with you. I think them going through the Yankees, I guess it's more validation for them, because then they can't go, like you said, well, they didn't beat the Yankees. They beat the Mariners and they beat the Guardians, two teams that really weren't expected to do anything. And, they didn't really play anybody. Now they got to play a team. Two teams didn't even win 90 games in the World Series. No, beat the Yankees and you're going to be everyone's going to pick you to win the World Series.
By the way, bad producing by you. Back-to-back Cal Bears. Yes. Allen. Next, right here, A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com lastdivebar.com.
The Eno Sarah Show is sponsored by Fieldwork Brewing Company. With 8 taproom locations in Northern California, Fieldwork brings you fresh craft beer direct from the source. Fieldwork will also ship beer direct to your door if you live in California. Visit fieldworkbrewing.com.
Stephen Vogt stopped by A's Cast Live before his final game with the Green and Gold to discuss his relationship with the fans in Oakland.
This fan base means so much to me and my family, and I've gotten to know, half a dozen or a dozen of them on a personal level, and if not more. And they're so special. They're so supportive. They're loyal. I think the only thing I can put my finger on is I'm an average-looking guy that takes the field with energy, emotion, passion, and love for the game, no matter if we're the best team in baseball, the worst team in baseball, if I'm 0 for 32 or if I'm 32 for 32. I take the field with the same energy every single day, and I bring it. And there's nothing on this planet I love more than playing and winning Major League Baseball games. And I've been that way from the time I was a little kid. I've dreamed of playing in the major leagues from the time I was 2 years old. And I get to do it until almost my 38th birthday. And I'm so thankful for that, and I'll never take one day for granted. I'm going to take the field tomorrow with all the energy and passion you've ever seen, and I'm probably going to walk off of it with tears in my eyes, because what this game and what this place in Oakland has given me and my family, the opportunities that it provided, that I was fortunate enough to take and run with the support of my beautiful wife, Alyssa, our kids, my dad, and my whole family and friends and support system. And most importantly, the fans. You guys gave me energy to play every single time here. And, I think that's why. It's green collar baseball. I know we're not supposed to use that hashtag anymore, but it's something that when I saw green collar, I'm like, man, that's me. I'm a punch the clock, get your work in, and take the field, and be blessed and be honored to take the field in the big leagues every single moment you get.
I believe it, Stephen Vogt!
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
What did you just text me?
I don't think I texted you anything.
Oh, it's Roxy texting me. Oh, where is Roxy Bernstein?
There he is.
Right here in my home office.
Was a rough weekend, Roxy.
I don't want to talk about it. I really do. Well, our Spartans didn't. Oh, that was frustrating.
Terrible.
Too.
They played awful. Yeah. Cal stinks. How do you lose to Colorado?
I don't want to talk about it. I am still not past that. Yeah, it was
terrible.
Inexcusable.
I mean, we go down, our arch rival, we have some dumb trophy we're playing for, the V. It's got agriculture and part tech, and to go down there and to lose to
Chris Townsend, Guy Haberman trophy, is that it?
No, it's terrible. The fact that we lost, Fresno's bad.
I was watching some of it, obviously, because I was paying attention to the baseball.
It's field goals. Playing two freshman tackles. It's like, then why you run the ball? You got a good running back.
Yeah.
Low scoring game. Run the football. But yet they're doing the Harry High School thing with the quarterback, and he's getting sacked. He got sacked. God, how many times Cody, how many times did he get sacked?
Cordero got knocked around.
Yeah, he got knocked around pretty good. As someone that was
He was
boots on the ground.
sacked like 8-9 times.
Yeah, the offensive line was terrible. As you said, I could have
Run the
done better.
ball.
That was
That's
some of
right.
those look out blocks where the tackle gets beaten and it's yell look out at the quarterback.
Yeah, he was getting hit quick. He didn't have a whole lot of, and that's where, in football, the one thing that can help you, especially young, and even if you're in the NFL, if you got a rookie or a second-year guy, you got to put him a tackle. Let the big bodies lean on the defense, and it's easier to go forward than it is to go back. So it's easier to run protect than it is pass protect. It's like it's not that hard.
If David Perales goes to the NFL from Fresno State, it's going to be off the game tape from Saturday night against San Jose State.
He's pretty good.
He was good. Yeah. But still, he shouldn't get 4 sacks in a game.
All right, Roxy. We just talked to another Cal Bear, the great Geoff Blum, who you know.
Yeah.
And he made an interesting point. With the Astros, yeah, I think they would like to take down the Yankees one more time. But it's like who's a better matchup? If you're the Astros looking at tonight's game, who's a better matchup for you? Is it Yankees? Is it Indians? And what's your thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, there's something about this Cleveland Guardians team, isn't there?
Yeah.
That, look, you look at them on paper, you're going, how the heck is this team doing it? Right? And Jose Ramirez is one of the great hitters in the game right now. I think that everybody can concede that. But it's the way they play. It's the style. It's almost like a throwback style, Chris, right? It's not to swing from your heels and trying to hit the ball 900 feet. They're putting pressure on. They're running. They do the little things, and they play defense. And Stephen Kwan has been a great story for them, the local kid. Is from the East Bay and went to Oregon State. It really is fun to watch this Cleveland team play and the way they buy in to their roles. You still on paper have to think the Yankees are the tougher matchup because it's the Yankees in that lineup. And anytime Aaron Judge is plugged in and it was Stanton. But you know what? We talked about this last week, Chris. The bullpen is a real issue for them and not having a closer. And unfortunately, I think for the Dodgers' perspective, and that's what really hurt them in that series with the Padres. And not having an ironed out, laid out bullpen is a problem. You don't have to, even if with Chapman not being on the roster for the Yankees, it's still, I think, a concern for them. And even the Dodgers leaving Kimbrel off, as ineffective as he was, he'd done it before. And now you're taking gambles on people, and nothing against Blake Trinan, who we love, but Blake Trinan was on the postseason roster for the Dodgers. He'd thrown 5 innings, Chris, all season, and none since early September. So not having the defined roles in the bullpen, I think, has been an issue. And look how it hurt the Cardinals in the wild card series against the Phillies. And Zach Eflin now has moved into that role. At least the Phillies have ironed out roles at the back end of their bullpen.
I did it to start the show where I'm like, I don't know what Andrew Friedman's making, but it's probably 6, 7, 8 million. The GM's making millions. And I'm like, I did the salaries of the guys who pitched last night. It's a bunch of guys making $700,000. I'm like, you spend millions on your R&D department. You spend millions on your data. You spend millions on technology. You spend millions on players. And in the end, in an elimination game, Dodgers are throwing out a bunch of guys making $700,000. It's crazy.
Vesia, the pride of Cal State East Bay.
He's making $720.
Phillips.
$720.
I mean, these are the guys they're running out there.
Almonte's making $700.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You made the big acquisition to spend the money to go get Kimbrel, right? And then you leave him off the roster. I don't care that he's been ineffective. I don't. This is why you got him. And you think you miss Kenley Jansen? My goodness. And look, it didn't help the Braves. I get it, but
wasn't his fault.
It wasn't exactly. It wasn't his fault. It was. It's interesting, the rest versus rust argument. Well, of those teams that got the buys, the Astros went through, the Dodgers are out, the Yankees are battling for their playoff lives, and the Braves were eliminated.
Could get in, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's better to keep playing than it is to sit, to be honest with you.
Well, there is that mentality of you've been playing playoff baseball for a long time now. You know, you played playoff baseball just to get in. Now, instead of that 1-game wild card, now you had a 3-game set. Now you're officially in playoff baseball. But, I mean, you look at the Phillies. Phillies have been playing for their lives on the road forever. And by the way, I know that you think from a TV market, we'll just have to see how the ratings play out. You rather have Dodgers, Braves, but there's so much excitement, and excitement lures fans in. There's so much excitement in Philly and San Diego right now with their fan bases and their stories. It's going to suck everybody in more than another Dodgers series. I just have a feeling we as sports fans love great stories. Phillies Padres is a great story.
How amazing was that scene in San Diego? And
Unreal.
you and I, we've been to Petco Park so many times, and it is a great venue to watch baseball in. But in that kind of environment, with the emotion, the energy inside that ballpark, and the way they rallied late against the Dodgers on Saturday night, that was just great theater. And it was an unbelievable environment. And you couldn't get help. You couldn't help but get sucked into it. And with the Padres going like they were, then Hader coming, blowing darts at the end of the game, that was an incredible atmosphere. And I imagine for a National League Championship Series, and San Diego's in there for the first time in 25 years? Just about. They're playing in an NLCS. It's going to be ridiculous at Petco tomorrow night.
And you know what? To your point, let's give the great Roxy Bernstein credit. Hader sucked. Hader was terrible. His ERA was like over 12 with the Padres. He's still pitching for the Padres, closing out games because they knew he'd right the ship. What the Yankees and the Dodgers didn't give their closers the chance to do.
And I talked to Bob Melvin about that. I had the Padres-Dodgers on a Sunday night in early September for ESPN. And I talked to Bob at length, actually, about Hader. And he never wavered. Look, he's got some things to iron out, but this is why we got him. And he is a proven closer at the back end of a game. They saw a mechanical flaw that they were working through. I also talked to Brian Price, who's a special advisor, former manager and former pitching coach, and another Cal Bear, and then Ruben Niebla as well, their pitching coach. But there was a mechanical flaw they noticed with Hader, and they were consistently working on it in bullpen sessions to get it ironed out and corrected. And it made it tough because they were fighting to get in, but at the same time, they knew if they got in, the only path forward was Josh Hader in Josh Hader form. And now they've got it. And with the confidence they have, and the way that Musgrove has been pitching, and Darvish, and some of those arms coming out of the bullpen, and Snell in the rotation as well, this is a confident group, and they've overcome some real adversity this year in terms of losing Tatis. And remember all the people questioning, Manny Machado doesn't care about winning. All he cares about is the money. Well, here's Manny Machado in the NLCS. So I think there's a lot of people on – what's that Twitter website? Old Takes Exposed. We can go back and see all the Manny Machado takes from people about, he doesn't care about winning. That's why he went to San Diego.
They always talk about if you could vote for the MVP after the regular season. I mean, Manny Machado's numbers will get him MVP votes. Now look at what he's done in the postseason. Manny Machado's been a man. And it's funny, they did the comparison last night. I thought it was really cool because they always wanted to compare Harper to Trout. Well, actually, it's Manny and Harper that should be compared because Harper went number 1 out of that junior college. Remember, he left high school. So he went
Southern Nevada.
And Manny went 3rd or 4th in that draft. So they're the same. They're the same free agencies. They both got the $300 million contracts. Their numbers are very similar. Obviously, the defense, the positions, but that's a good comp. And the fact they're playing each other in the NLCS is going to be great.
Well, and you alluded to it that, look, he should get more consideration for MVP. He's not going to – Paul Goldschmidt's going to win it, right? I think we all reside to the fact that Paul Goldschmidt will be the National League MVP. But Paul Goldschmidt, and again, he was going through a funk. He came up in big spots for the Cardinals. He and Nolan Arenado, and they couldn't deliver. But here is Machado's come up big, and the same thing could be said. Look, Aaron Nola's not going to get a lot of – he'll get some consideration for the Cy Young in the National League. He's not going to win it, but he's having a historic season. And with him and Zach Wheeler 1-2, that is a great combination for Rob Thompson and the Phillies. But after that, Ranger Suarez, all right, we'll see where they go with the rotation. I give the edge, the top 2 starters to the Phillies, but after that, pitching depth, I give it to the Padres in that series.
You know, I haven't really talked about it today because, you know, I think it's kind of salt in the womb for A's fans. You know, they're going to be happy for Bob, but it hurts. I mean, after the season we had. So I've kind of laid low on that. But since we both know him so well, I mean, that's the one thing for us, to see Bob and to have a chance where he is in LCS. Well, yeah, but he's not.
I'm happy. And I'm happy for Jurickson Profar. You know, these are good guys.
Yeah.
It's
Ryan
just,
Christensen.
but and the organization's going in a different direction, right? So these changes were made, and now the A's are retooling, and there's a lot of young talent coming through, and I'm excited about the guys that I've seen. But when people move on, I know there can be some bitterness. You know, it's kind of like an ex-girlfriend. But
it's horrible. It's horrible.
No, I'm happy for Bob.
Yes, it's still horrible.
Well, look, no matter where you look,
restaurant, you don't want to walk into a restaurant and she's with a taller, better-looking, more successful guy than you.
I'm happy for Bob. I'm happy for him.
You're happy for her.
Yeah.
But yes, it hurts. It hurts.
Well, it hurts for the fact that the A's were so close so many times under Bob, right?
Yeah, look at the hat I'm wearing, for God's sake.
We just couldn't get rid of Justin Verlander. That was as long as he doesn't see Verlander, he'll be fine, I think.
Yeah, well, he may see Verlander.
It's possible.
I got a feeling whoever wins tonight, they're going to be in trouble. And then but that's the great, I hate all the whining, by the way. I hate all the whining, like, 5 games, it's not fair. I mean, our sport needs to realize, okay, the regular season's great, and everybody, you got your 162 games back, but your regular season, whether it's the Warriors winning 73 and not winning the title, it's the Patriots trying to go undefeated and losing to the Giants in the Super Bowl.
The Dodgers winning 111 games and getting bounced in the division series.
You guys in your regular season regular season stuff's overrated. It's great what you do, but it's what you do in the postseason.
Yeah.
And if you don't man up in the postseason, all those victories against all those bad teams you beat during the regular season mean nothing.
Well, everybody talks about, there's 300-win teams in the National League, and it's great. But that means there's a lot of crappy teams in the National League.
Exactly.
Right? And when you look at the bottom, I mean, the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Washington Nationals. Look, and the A's were a 100-loss team this year. I get it. But the A's are in a complete rebuild mode, and I think the future is bright. I can't say the same for Cincinnati right now with the talent, and Washington and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, sorry, Cody, it seems to be in constant rebuild mode.
Ooh, shots fired.
I'm sorry, Cody.
I believe in Ben Cherington.
Shots fired.
Okay, all right.
Raise the Jolly Roger.
I like Hayes. I think he's good. You know, I think there's some pieces there.
O'Neal Cruz.
Oh, yeah. But
Reynolds.
Yeah, if there's a basketball game, maybe.
But you know what? In this day and age, you either want to be at the top or the bottom. You don't want to be in the middle.
Well, you want to be in, because I've written down here, just get in.
Get in.
And I know you got to go, but I said this earlier. I want everybody to remember, it was the players' union during the lockout. The players, their union represents them. So it was the players and the players' union who didn't want these beautiful playoffs, because they thought the more teams in would disincentivize people from trying to win. boy, were the players and the players union wrong. Where do you got to go?
I've got a meeting. I got to be at 3:00.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, I've got other things to talk to you about, but we'll miss you.
We can talk next week, Chris.
All right. I'll be here. I'll be right here.
Monday,
here.
let's go. Next Monday, let's do it again.
What do you got? What do you got coming up? Where can I see you this weekend?
Going back to Corvegas. I've got Oregon State, Colorado on Saturday.
Oregon, I'll watch.
You're the one.
I will. You'll be on one of the iPads. See you, buddy.
All right. See you guys.
The great Roxy Bernstein. Wow. I just thought that was uncalled for. They just took a shot at your Pirates.
It's okay. I mean, everyone takes a shot at them.
When are you going to let this Pirate fandom go?
It's the only team in Pittsburgh I care about.
You don't live in Pittsburgh. You haven't lived in Pittsburgh in forever.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't ditch their roots. I mean, yeah, the Penguins are fine, and I root for the Steelers. Big win yesterday against Tom Brady. Come on, you can't beat Mitchell Trubisky. But you know what, Tom? You should just stayed retired. You might have been better off for you. But yeah, no, they're going through a rebuild. But they have a general manager that's won a World Series, so I can't really complain. I'm going to believe in them until they don't win, and it's been a couple of years, but there's light at the end of the tunnel, I feel.
When's the last time they won a World Series?
1979.
When were you born?
1988. That's only 9 years.
Okay. Just checking. We haven't talked about Naylor's home run and his celebration going around the bases.
I have the call of it. Bob Costas on the call. Here, let's play the audio. Josh Naylor, and I have Garrett Cole being asked about after, but here's Josh and Naylor's home run, Bob Costas and Ron Darling on TBS.
Hits this one well in the gap in right center field. Judge watches it leave the yard. And Naylor's got his own home run dance. For the 10th consecutive start, regular season and postseason, Garrett Cole has given up at least one home run. And his 3-0 lead is down to 3-2.
What a celebration there from Naylor on that line drive home run to right center. He plays with lots of emotion, and you see it right here.
So that was Ron Darling, Bob Costas on the call. Do you want to hear what Garrett Cole had to say after the game about it?
I saw it, and I would like to hear it.
All right, here's Garrett Cole after the game.
Garrett, what did you make of Naylor's celebration?
Yeah. Whatever. It's cute.
Yeah, I mean, so it seems like it did bother you a bit.
I mean, I just was made aware of it. Like, I didn't see it in the moment, and it wouldn't have bothered me in the moment. And it just is kind of funny. So.
Well, Garrett Cole, not a fan of the celebration, but there were a lot of people on Twitter there were people that loved it, like myself, because he was doing the rock, like, his Garrett Cole was his baby, doing like this. And then there were people on Twitter like, well, I'm all for bat flipping and all this stuff, but that was quite disrespectful. Really? That's disrespectful? I mean, what are we supposed to do then? I thought we were trying to let the kids play, and then the kids are playing and everyone hates it. I mean, I don't know what to do anymore.
Why do you like it? Like what about that do you say is not excessive and Bush League?
Oh, it was a little over the top, but I like seeing guys play with emotion. I mean, I'm fine.
There's a lot of ways to show emotion. What about that was, especially now that you're rounding third, still doing it, and you're looking into the cameras.
Like when he went around first, it was funny, and then it got a little. I agree. Towards the end, it was a little excessive, but when he first did it, it was kind of funny. And we know he plays with emotion, and he would have been up in the inning earlier if Jose Ramirez didn't try to didn't get caught leaning towards second on the single he hit to bring in the run on the blooper in the left field. So it could have been a 3-run homer. Who knows? But yeah, Naylor, we know how he plays. But yeah, the more I think about it, a little excessive going around third.
But
if Garrett Cole celebrated after he struck someone out, I mean, so what are we?
Are you okay? I'm not trying to influence your opinion, but a guy going, yeah, with his fist is far different than home plate, first base, second base, third base, and all the way to home. I don't even know how you would compare those two. I don't even know how, like, I don't know where we're going with this. You're my daddy. You're my baby. Are we really starting to turn this into the Caribbean World Series? Is that where baseball's going, to where I'm not going to be old school here. I'm just going to tell you that you start to see Latin players start throwing at each other. And we've seen that. Like the Kansas City Royals, we saw that with the Royals. Like all of a sudden, let them play became beanball wars amongst Latin players. So let's just call it what it is. Because everybody always thought it was like, oh, it's the American guys. No, you start seeing beanball wars. You start seeing Royals, White Sox. Remember that? You remember those?
Yeah, then there's the Jose Urena always hitting Ronald Acuna Jr., Braves.
There's another one. What happened to let the kids play? So when you want to go out there with your let the kids play, your kids have a problem. Your kids have a problem playing in the sandbox. And it's not always the American-born players that do it, that do the throwing at. As we've just mentioned, we can start mentioning names. They're not American-born players. Because a lot of people tried to say, oh, it's the American-born players. Oh, we can take you back multiple instances where we started having these beanball wars. So this whole let's let them play. What is bat flip? All right. But you start doing the gestures around first. Okay, now you're doing it around third. I mean, if there is at any point in doubt tonight, and Naylor has to wear one, I got no problem with it. I got no problem with it.
Well, I'm reading Twitter at the same time. They're supposed to have a meeting at 3:00 our time to determine if the game's going to be played tonight or not. Because of the rain.
Well, the game's tomorrow, and the game's out. One team's up 6 runs, and it's late in the game, and Naylor comes. I got no problem with him wearing one. That's part of the game, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We're going to let you play, but if you're going to be ridiculous, to me, I don't think it's a little over top. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, if an A did that, I'd be like, what are you doing? I mean, we got to have some professionalism.
Yeah, the more I thought about it, because I forgot he did it all the way around third. When he first did it, I thought, okay, that's funny. It's different. We know how Naylor plays.
And it's only a solo home run. It's not like he hit a grand slam, which even that wouldn't mean it's okay. It's just, at what point are you in the big leagues? The baby thing. I mean, is that really where our sport's going?
You know, his home run was, we both loved because we were watching it live on Friday during our show. The Rhys Hoskins bat spike, 100% okay with that. He was struggling.
That was emotion.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
I need more of that.
And by the way, he did it. That was literally what? He hits it, screams, throws the bat down, hits his chest. That's all of about, what, 5 seconds?
Yeah, then he rounds the bases.
I'm fine with, as a pitcher, I'm fine with that. Because that's the same thing as Garrett Cole striking somebody out and pumping his fist. Dennis Eckersley, our guy for you. I'm fine with that. When you go around first and then you're doing it around third, you've now taken this to a whole different level. Even the Jose Bautista, that's the biggest bat flip of all time. I got no problem with that. That's in the moment, the motion, boom. But if you're doing that round and third, round and home, I mean, like, really? I'm not down with that.
Yeah, and here's the latest update about the weather tonight, too. This is from one of the Yankees beat writers. As of now, with an emphasis on the as of now part, the expectation from the Yankees perspective is they'll be able to start this between 8 and 9, which is 8 or 9 Eastern. So it'll be, 5 or 6 for us, with the possibility still of an on-time start. Next call between the clubs and MLB is scheduled for 6. So like 2 minutes from now.
When was the ALCS supposed to start?
Tomorrow.
So this would start Wednesday.
Oh no, wait. Sorry. The NLCS starts tomorrow. Let me double check.
I know, but when was why wouldn't it?
It would start Wednesday.
When was it supposed to start, though?
I thought it was supposed to start Wednesday the whole time. Because game 5 of Padres Dodgers would have been Sunday, so they would have had day off to travel.
Well, I'm wondering because of what if this thing was all mapped out before it started, before any weather issues. So is it always these dates?
Well, I'm looking at the MLB app right now.
If you're saying Wednesday, then this series.
Yeah, game 5 was always supposed to. Yeah, I don't know. They probably would have gave him a day.
That would have been too much time off.
Yeah, but
whatever. I mean, God, if you don't play tonight, because what they're going to do is it's going to be about TV, right?
Yeah.
So if they win, if they get rained out tonight, and they got to play Tuesday, and they're going to be playing against game 1 of the NLCS. Will the ALCS? Will whoever wins got to fly immediately play in Houston, or will they get a day off?
They'll probably. I mean, honestly, I think they'd probably just try to start that game on Wednesday. It's a 4:35 or 4:37 first pitch Pacific time, so 7:30 on the East Coast. Like the one other one before we get to Tom McCarthy, the Phillies, because this has something to do with them. The Phillies and Padres are scheduled to play game 4 on Saturday. They're scheduled to play game 6 or game 5 if necessary the next day in Philadelphia. So game 4 would be in Philadelphia. Oh, never mind. I'm looking at that wrong. I thought they were playing in San Diego, then going to Philadelphia. And say that's a lot of Game 5, if necessary, is in Philly. Then game 6 on Monday is in San Diego. So they're going to immediately finish the game, and then fly to San Diego to play that series if it goes that far.
I'm not following here. What was your point?
You know how there's usually a day off between the travel, especially going from one coast to the other. They're going to fly that night to go to San Diego. If it gets,
which it should be. That's how we play the game. That's how we play the sport for 6 months. 6+ months.
I'm going to give Tom McCarthy a call. He's going to be on the phone.
All right,
let me.
That is the tough thing for the TV guys. Is the fact that you call the games all year long and then they go, "See you later." and that really happens in every sport. Tom, welcome to A's Cast Live. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. You know, we just had Geoff Blum on from the Houston Astros, and it's so funny how, you know, from the television side, you get to call all these games, and then you get to the postseason, and it's bye-bye. It's gone to the networks. Thank God from the radio side that you keep going there for the Phillies fans, because that's one of the tough things, that you lose your TV guys during the postseason, but we always still got our radio guys taking us all the way through.
Well, yeah, and for me, it's great because they allow me to slide over and do a couple innings too, which is awesome. You know, so that I'm grateful for that opportunity more than anything else, because, you know, it's true. You sit there and you're wondering, man, how can I call that, or how would I call that? And you want to do a different flair than what you're hearing. But, you know, we get into TV. We recognize that. That's all part of the whole gig.
All righty. So when you look at what we got going here in San Diego and we got going on in Philadelphia, I just think the attraction for baseball fans to see the excitement that is going on, how great it is, what this series is going to be, and just take us through this roller coaster ride, which has turned out to be an outstanding ride for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, I think this is what we in Philadelphia expected at the start of the year. Unfortunately, we got off such a bad start. We were 7 games under 500 and kind of left for dead. But I got to tell you, this team has done an amazing job of kind of bouncing back and improving as the year went on. So we're 27 and 29. We're not fielding the ball well at all. And we make a managerial change. Our bullpen is abysmal. And then all of a sudden, we make the managerial change, but guys start to improve. They just get better. And I told people that this year, more than any other year, I have understood and learned patience. And this is my 22nd year in the big leagues and my 30th year overall in professional baseball. I have never appreciated patience as much as I appreciated it this year, because, you know, 7 games under, and even in September when we struggled, there were times where I'm thinking, man, we're done. We're not going to make it. But these guys, resilient, great manager. You know, it's that old adage that we keep retreading a lot of guys, but there are people out there, these bench coaches like DeMarlo Hale from the Guardians and Rob Thompson from the Phillies, that deserve this kind of opportunity. And I'm so thankful that they were able to get it, because it kind of shows that there are really good baseball people out there beyond the normal guys.
I tried to explain to people, if you've ever played baseball, the Phillies remind me of that summer league team where you got a bunch of guys that are from the different high schools that come together. You got a bunch of talent. You just don't know how it fits, if it really fits right. But all of a sudden at the very end, before you get into these playoffs in the summer, you just click. And now everything's working. And you guys love each other. You love your coach. You love everything about it. And you're drinking beers together after the game. It's just like it's like the best time in your life. And that's what, it didn't feel that way with the Mets. Didn't feel that way with the Braves. It feels that way. You guys feel like the summer ball team that all of a sudden now believes. And when somebody believes, they're tough to knock out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that there is, I go back to like the 2007 Colorado Rockies, with their belief in the month of September and how they turned it around. Teams like that. They just and I think the analogy that you use, whether it be the American Legion team, the high school team, whatever it is, I think that's a good analogy, because those are the teams that you're like, they got to win twice on Saturday to get out of the losers bracket. They're not going to do it. Well, then they do it. They do it by 20 runs. And you're like, oh, man, now they go to the winner's bracket again, and it's a winner take all. That is how this team is. They do. They drink beers a lot. They play these funky music tunes that they all sing. It's like High School Musical 18. It's just funny. I mean, it's just a good group. I mean, they've got the whole city, the song that means nothing about baseball. It means that he broke up with your girlfriend, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, and in between innings, the music, it's like a club. It's like a big party. It brings everybody in. It's so infectious.
Yes, I agree with that. And, I've been around a lot of teams. I've been around the 08 championship team. This team has probably better pitching than that team does, but that team had continuity, and they had camaraderie. They had friendship. And that's what this team is evolving into. And I think a lot of it has to do with all the young kids. The young kids, a lot of times they don't have much of an impact, but this young group has had a tremendous amount of impact on this team. And it's infectious. They goof around. They call them the daycare, the Phillies daycare. And it's really funny to watch them just react to a lot of different things.
Well, and I think about everything we just said about the Phillies. You got the exact same thing going on in San Diego, which makes this series so great. You got these two hungry fan bases, these two hungry franchises. Nobody thought you guys would be this far, and nobody thought the Padres would take down the Dodgers after the Dodgers have owned them for years. That's what's you got two teams with a whole lot of it factor about to buck horns here.
Well, and I think a lot of people talk about, 3 100-win teams not being not being in the National League Championship Series. We love the NCAA tournament so much. That's what baseball is kind of creating, and I think it's great for baseball. People think it stinks. I think it's great for baseball that this is happening. Somebody brought up a really good point. The Phillies won over 100 games in 2011. And got knocked out in the first round by a team that made it on the last day because the Phillies won a 15-inning game in Atlanta. That was the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Cardinals went on and won the World Championship. It stunk for the Phillies because they won 100 games, but it was great for baseball that storyline presented itself.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the tournament, because I made that point the one day we had 4 games, and it was basically over 12 hours of baseball. Just like the NCAA tournament in the first rounds, where you saturate the market with basketball games. That's now what we're doing. Yeah. Now people can't watch all day long, but at some point you're going to watch it, or you're going to see highlights, and people are going to be talking about your sport. Wouldn't you say, as someone that's in TV, it's kind of brilliant that we're not necessarily worried about the ratings. We're just worried about baseball all day, and that sports fans at some point will see it all day long.
I agree with that. I think that's absolutely it. I mean, You're flipping it on, you're going away for an hour. You're flipping it back on, you're sitting for an hour. You're flipping it back on, you're having dinner and watching the game, or you're listening to it in your car. There's just a baseball event that's going on the entire day. Now, for some people, it stinks because the day games, they can't always watch them. But obviously, we've all been looking for day games in baseball. I have anyway, for years. So I think the whole thing is great for baseball. And I think you have two fan bases. From what I gather, and I wasn't here when the Dodgers and Padres played, but I was in Philadelphia, and I've seen the Philadelphia postseason crowds. You have never had an experience like that until you've been there, and I understand it was the same here in San Diego. So that, to me, is what baseball is looking for.
And the city's on fire. My God, the way the Eagles are playing, too.
Yeah. I mean, last night's win, it got a little tenuous with the Cowboys, but the fact that they won it the way they did, yeah. They are definitively, the city is on fire, and there's no, and listen, it's a great city, and particularly when the teams are winning, it's an even better city because they can't sit still, and they're gonna feed off of each other when the time comes, and that's what I think you saw last night at the Eagle Cowboy game.
I think about the Yankee influence where you have Joe Girardi come in. He comes in, it doesn't work. But then Rob Thompson is from the Yankee, I guess we could say, tree, and he absolutely does work. And now he's going to be the manager going forward no matter what happens here in the playoffs. Just talk about how both guys come from the Yankees. Both guys are different. One works, one doesn't.
Well, I think it's different personalities. I mean, they're best friends or they're very close friends. So one was the lieutenant while the other one was the general the whole time when they were at the Yankees. But I also think that, to me, Rob Thompson has a lot of Joe Torre in him. He probably has more of Joe Torre than he has Joe Girardi in him. And if you look at their managerial styles, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty good match. So that's where the influence is, I think. It's even more so. I mean, he obviously learned a lot from Joe. Joe learned a lot from him. But he learned an awful lot from Joe Torre, who was in the office the other day and said, hey, just keep being yourself. And that's exactly what he is. I mean, we just asked him a few minutes ago about Bryce Harper calling him Wyatt Earp. Doc Holliday called Wyatt Earp an oak tree because nothing fazed him. He was just a strong foundation. And he goes, I don't know what to think of that. He goes, I just like my team. And he does. I mean, that's the big thing. He is just so even keeled that nothing phases him.
I got to tell you, I had no clue what kind of fit Bryce Harper was going to be in Philly. It fits like a glove now. He just, I mean,
it's like a glove. Well, it did from the beginning. It did from the beginning, honestly. He embraced everything about Philadelphia. I mean, he was the least of their issues for the first few years he was there. He did everything he needed to do to ingratiate himself to the city. He's been awesome on so many levels.
Oh, yeah. You look down, he's got the Philly Fanatic shoes. He's got the bandana. I mean, Philly's a tough crowd, but if you play hard and this guy coming back from the broken hand, I can see why they love it. How wouldn't you love him? He plays hard for you every day.
Absolutely. And, even when he was out with the broken thumb, he was always around. He was in the booth with us, or and it took him a couple of weeks. He wasn't around initially, but he was around as the team started to evolve without him. And I think it was really cool to see.
Well, thank you so much for the time. Good luck to you guys. It's going to be one hell of a series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Take care. Yeah, it's going to be a battle. You know who would be good to talk about this too? Can you read my mind, Cody?
No. I mean, I have a guy that I'm thinking of. Is it a broadcaster?
Yes.
Is it John Kruk?
No.
Oh. I was thinking Krucky, but who?
Kevin Franzen.
Oh, I was thinking about texting Franny.
Because Franny just worked for the Phillies. This year was his first year with the Nationals. He was just with the Phillies. He knows all. He's still living in Philly. He's back in Philly right now. I mean, he knows all about it. And by the way, you cheap shot artist, you and all those other people making fun of Mike Trout being there for Eagles games because he's not in the postseason every year. That's just uncalled for.
It took over Twitter last night. And like even Mike Tirico's, unintentional. Oh, Mike Trout in his usual seat here during Eagles games. It's like, oh wow, even Mike Tirico's taking unintentional shots at him.
How about Mike hitting Bob Costas? What'd you send me earlier?
Oh, do you want to hear it? Real quick, let me finish this. Franny, Mike Farron, our good friend, and Jim Bowden are doing pre and post game for the NLCS on MLB Network Radio. So I'll reach out to Franny.
Am I not call? I didn't even know that. It's even a better fit now.
Yeah. Okay. So Mike Francesa, apparently of New York Radio, Mike and the Mad Dog.
Radio Hall of Famer Mike Francesa.
Father, I guess Godfather of Sports Talk Radio with Mad Dog. Not a fan of Bob Costas, apparently on the Yankee calls. This is Mike Francesa.
He's a Yankees fan.
Yeah, apparently he's not a big fan. I saw it on Awful.
Where Mad Dog is a San Francisco Giant fan. By the way, all the Giants fans, and the Dodgers going out. You're irrelevant. Settle down.
Yeah, well,
that's a tired act too, by the way.
Yeah, quickly on that, you won 107 games last year and you won 81 this year. And your big acquisition in the offseason when the Dodgers added Freddie Freeman was, let's re-sign Brandon Crawford, bring back Brandon Belt, and get Carlos Rodon, which good ad. But the Dodgers said, hey, we need to get better. We get Freddie Freeman. You brought back Brandon Crawford, who's 35 and had a career year at 34.
That is such Giants, too. It's just like, we're like, sometimes you just don't need to tweet. Sometimes you just don't say anything. You know what it does? It makes you look small. Like if the Astros get ousted, I do not want any fans out there. You look small. You really do. You're sitting on the sidelines. You're kind of Giants are kind of a little, not kind of, they're a train wreck. There's people starting to wonder, man, do we really have the right front office? Do we really have the right manager? Was this a good idea? You have one good year in 2 other years that you classify as what?
Rebuilding years, I guess, under Farhan. Let's see. Well, 1 year was you were running out Bruce Bochy's last year and you didn't finish 500. And then you had the COVID year where you finished under 500. And then you had the 107 win year. So, yeah, you've had one good year. And then what did you do after you won 100?
Has Farhan been there 4 years?
Farhan's first year was 2018. No, 2019. I thought he took over for Bochy's final year.
So he's 1 for 3 in years.
Yeah, I'll just double check to make sure that he was there I know for sure he was there for Bochy's final year, and then he had the 2020 year. So this will be his 4th season. He's on November 6th, 2018. Farhan's ID accepted an offer to join the Giants to become the president of baseball.
What year?
2018. So 2019.
We had 19 losers. I don't even remember what they do during COVID.
I think they were 30 and 32 or 29 and 31, something like that.
All right, so nothing in COVID.
Oh, no, sorry, they wouldn't have 32 losses.
And then win 107 games. And then last year. So he's had one good year out of 4.
77 and 85 and 19, 29 and 31 in the COVID year, 107 and 55 last year. Oh, and they were 81 and 81 this year. The definition of mediocre.
Yeah, it does not scream brilliance. Now we love Farhan, obviously, but doesn't scream brilliance. And so lay off Twitter. It's a bad look.
And he just hired the Astros assistant GM to be his new GM because his GM left to go be the president of baseball ops for the
Good luck with that.
Scott Harris, proud of. I think he's from Redwood City, but anyway,
no track record. Good luck with that. All right, what do you got?
Here's Mike Francesa talking about Bob Costas and why he needs to, his words, shut up.
Beta got a home run. So you got 3 home runs. You use the power. Costas, who will not be quiet no matter what. Listen, Costas has just, I don't know, he thinks that, I guess every word is golden because he just will not shut up. Everything's a history lesson. We don't need a history lesson every 2 seconds. Okay? Everybody's a Yankee fan. They have Yankee history. They understand Yankee history. They know it backwards and forwards. This is not a history class. It's a baseball game. Be quiet. Do the game. He's driving everybody crazy. He must have said 1,000 times, the Yankee home runs. We know the Yankees have doubled their home runs this year. We know the Indians hit 127 homers and the Yankees hit 254. We know that. Everybody knows it. Make the point once, not 4,000 times.
Not a fan of Bob Costas, apparently. I mean, Costas is calling his first series since 2000. And sorry, Francesca, I'll say it. Not everyone's a Yankee fan that's watching TBS. Not everyone's a Yankee fan.
There is Bob's different. Bob is what? How old is Bob now? 70 something?
Let's double check. Bob Costas, friend of the program. Costas he's actually 70. He'll be 71 in March.
There is a little something to it. I mean, he has mentioned in this series 1,000,000 times about the home run difference between the Yankees and the Indians. And yeah, there kind of is a lot of talk about the past, which Bob loves. Bob loves baseball history. But a lot of people right now are in, is it fair? You know what? I could see if I was looking at it through his eyes and his experience, like at some point it'd be like, all right, just like stop. Talk about this game, the game in front of us. We're here with the game in front of us. We all know you're smarter than everybody else, Bob, and we know you've been doing this for years. We know all the history. I mean, at some point, I care about the game here. And my analyst, what's the analyst saying, what he's seeing, I could kind of see that. I don't want to agree with him because I love Bob Costas, but you can kind of see it. Have you watched these games? It's a lot of old references.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you could tell that it's been a while since Costas has called a playoff series. I said 2000 was the last time he called one. There was a funny moment because Oscar Gonzalez's walk-up song is SpongeBob's, the song to SpongeBob, and him and Ron Darling were talking about. He goes, as you know, Ron, SpongeBob lives under a pineapple under the sea, and they did did the song without doing the song. It was actually kind of funny that clip was going around. But yeah, I mean, it's Bob Costas. He's a legend, and to have him calling this series, it's a big deal. It's better than having nothing against Brian. I mean, I love Brian Anderson, but it's better having Bob Costas over Brian Anderson. That adds cachet to the series because not everyone knows how the Guardians play. If you're a casual fan, you have no idea how the Guardians played this year. That they didn't hit home runs. They were a team that got on base by, swinging the bat well and actually hitting for average.
Are you going to do it every game? Every game. We got to
never know. Different audience. We know from being in radio.
Play
the hits. Play the hits.
But if I'm watching every game, I could be like, I'm over it. I get it.
Yeah, I could see that side of it too. Also, I haven't seen anything. There's tonight's ALDS, according to Joel Sherman, tonight's ALDS Game 5 will start in a delay. There will be reassessment at 7 p.m. As of this moment, there's no tarp on the field and no rain. The Yankees.
Yeah, but they got to have the Doppler, and they know it's coming.
Yeah, so we'll see if
something's coming. I mean, I'm telling you, they've got it down. These grounds crew, they got it on their phones. Like Clay Wood has it on his phone. I mean, they can tell you when the system's coming, when it's going to hit, and they're really accurate. For A's fans out there, you remember when we were in Detroit, 2018 or 19? I was with the team, and they called the teams off the field. And everybody's like, what are you doing? It's not even raining. 5 minutes later, it was like biblical rain. Didn't stop. Game over. We're heading to the plane. Like, they knew. They're like, we can get the tarp on now, and it's going to start dumping, or we can allow you guys to keep playing, which everybody wanted, because the game was still like, I want to say it was in like the fourth inning. And we could get it in a few more. Can we get a few more innings in? And the groundskeeper, I want to say it's a woman who's the head's groundskeeper. And I remember she gave this signal, and the umpires went, all right, brought everybody off. And we're like, what are you doing? Next thing you know, thunder, lightning, and this thing was over. So they know. So if something's got to be in the area, and you know how the weather works back there on the Atlantic Ocean, Northeast. Something's there. Something's looming. And we had Sarah Langs early in the show today where she says that blue sky is outside, but something's happened. Otherwise, they'd be like, let's go. They want to get this game in.
Yeah, the weather out there is so unpredictable. Well, I mean, the weather anymore is unpredictable. It was raining in San Diego the other day, and then they started the game in a delay.
It rained at Dodger Stadium in Game 1 and rained in Game 4 in San Diego. Two places that are starving for rain, just like us.
My wife flew to LA Saturday morning. She said it's pouring down rain here. I was like, what? Because I was driving down to Fresno and didn't rain in Fresno, but it was raining in LA. So
coming up, oh, you know what? How much time do we have? All right, quickly play. I remembered this, so I had to contact Cody to get it. Anybody remember Dave Roberts, Dan Patrick show earlier this year?
I mean, I do, but we'll play it for them anyway. Here's Dave. Here it is.
The Dodgers will win the World Series if
we play a full season and there is a postseason.
Wait.
We are winning the World Series in 2022. But I know where you're going with that.
No,
we're winning the World Series this year. Put it on record.
You are winning the World Series.
We are winning the World Series.
Put it on record. I don't know what record we got to put it on, but if I had a record, I mean, do we put on like an album, like an old school record vinyl?
Vinyl, maybe.
I mean, what kind of record? Oh, he's on the old journalist. I'm on record of saying
it would have been better if he said, you know what, Dan, mark the tape. So you're mark the tape.
Wow. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you look at Dave Roberts' record as a manager, spectacular. I want to say it could probably be the best regular season winning percentage in the history of baseball. It's definitely top 3. I've never looked at it, but if you said top regular season winning percentage, you would have had to manage X amount of games. I don't know what the minimum would be.
He has a 632 winning percentage. He's 653 and 380. As his time.
What does that rank all time?
I'd have to pull that up. I'm looking at his baseball. He's won 100 games 4 times.
I mean, there can't be anybody that has a better winning percentage than him. He's won every year. There's no bad years in there. Even Bobby Cox had some bad years.
Joe McCarthy had a 615, but I'm looking at like the list of the all-time managers, like, Hall of Famers.
So what's Roberts?
Dave Roberts is 632.
All right. Do you see anybody that's better?
According to this list, this is with all Hall of Famers and everything, and all the guys that won a bunch of games. No, Dave Roberts has the best as I see right now.
So I'm saying, I think he has the best. I mean, it's top 3, if not the best winning percentage all time. But here's where the problem lies. These guys, it's a scripted game now. It's a total scripted game. And when the script goes off track and you lose, the guys who scripted the game, they go into hiding. They go hide. You don't see those guys, hey, listen, I want you, Dave Roberts, to do X, Y, and Z. When Dave Roberts does X, Y, and Z and it fails, they don't come down after the game to talk to the media. These front offices, they can do whatever they want until they get fired. These front offices are able to manipulate everything. That's why, remember the word of the day. If you're just joining us, word of the day is randomness. Because I had to restart my computer. Let me get to it. The word of the day is randomness. The definition is the quality or state of lacking a pattern or principle of organization, unpredictability. These guys don't like the randomness. Definition, once again, the quality or state of lacking a pattern or principle of organization, unpredictability, randomness, word of the day. These losers don't like it because anything can happen in randomness. There's no pattern. There's a total pattern you can control during the regular season, and they do it brilliantly. But you get into the postseason, and they don't win. What is it about a team that has this kind of talent outside of the COVID year that they're so good, but they don't win the big one? You throw the randomness, like the definite lacking a pattern. When you take the pattern, when you take unpredictability and you put it in, the Dodgers don't thrive. Why? Other teams have been great in tournaments. The New England Patriots, the San Francisco 49ers, the Golden State Warriors, the San Antonio Spurs, the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. There's other teams. It doesn't matter if they play a 5-gamer or a 7-gamer. The randomness doesn't bother them. What is it about the Dodgers that they struggle with this? Their swagger goes away. They were just 5 for 34 with runners in scoring position. They've got how they want to operate their pitchers. They spent all these millions of dollars, but in the end, they're throwing out guys who make $700,000. It's like the smartest guy routinely outsmarts himself, and Dave Roberts is there to hold the bag.
I was literally just going to say I think they outsmart themselves and overthink it. Like you asked me yesterday to find
how smart is that?
It's not.
How smart? So I'm going to be Andrew Friedman. I'm the smartest guy. I'm going to have a bunch of these scientists, data scientists, people have nothing to do with baseball, but they know data and technology and how to read it, how to make players better. They've got all these smart people. Everybody around them is so smart, but yet in the end, they outsmart themselves. So really, how smart are they? If you outsmart yourself and cost yourself victories, how smart really are you?
And you asked me to find this because this is something we think that they're trying to do to outsmart everyone. In the minor leagues, let's look at low A, Rancho Cucamonga, and the Cal League, the same league that Stockton, our low A affiliate, plays in. This year, their starting pitchers went 4-29 with a 5.56 ERA. You ask, why is their win-loss percentage so bad? Because in 132 starts, they pitched in 343 innings. That's around 2.6 innings pitched per start, the lowest in the Cal League. I think it's the lowest in minor league baseball. But I remember going through and looking, it's like that in a lot of their minor league systems. Their starters don't go long. And what happened in this playoff series? Their starters didn't go long. What would happen if Garrett Cole pitched for the Dodgers in Game 4 like he did yesterday? He had 110.
Get him out. 5 innings. Get him out. We're going through the lamp a third time. Get him out.
The only guy the Dodgers have had, like we went through the playoff number. Dave Roberts has only allowed 11 guys to go 100 or more pitches. The only guy I think the Dodgers would actually let do that, because I think it's just the way he is. And I thought about this last night, and he's a pariah in the game now. But Trevor Bauer is the only guy that they let pitch deep in the games during the regular season when he was there. But Bauer wasn't brought up to
pitch every 4 days.
Yeah, he wasn't brought up through their system either. So
it's like no one's gonna. Hey, these guys aren't gonna change until their bosses tell them to change. Right? That's where, if you want brass tacks, these are the brass tacks. I did this exercise earlier where I was the managing general partner and Cody was Andrew Friedman. And it's till an owner looks in and goes, buddy, I'm paying you a lot of money. I'm paying all these people in our R&D department, research and data. I'm paying all of you all this millions. And this is how you manage the game? You got a bunch of guys making $700,000 in an elimination game? I'm paying your whole staff all these millions of dollars. Staff, non-players. I'm paying millions in non-players. And then the players I'm paying at the end of the elimination game are all making $700,000? Are you serious? That's not acceptable. until owners start to say, why am I paying this starter and you only allow him to go 5 innings? What is it? Well, you keep doing it and you keep not winning. It's still an owner, because right now this is the way the business is. The business is not changing. We're the A's. We didn't have one complete game this year. Not one. First time in franchise history, we didn't have a complete game.
Hell, the Rays went like 5 years without one.
Who?
The Rays went like 5 years without one.
This is where you'll sit there and peel, starting pitching. But yet they don't want starting. They want like minimal starting pitching. Well, look what happens to you. This is why Garrett Cole got the big money, was to go out to win a game like he did last night, and he did. I thought it was awesome. I mean, wouldn't you have rather had a Garrett Cole 7-inning outing for the Dodgers to get a Game 5 in LA versus the Padres versus having a guy go no runs, 5 innings, and then Tyler Anderson, you're out of here? And he had good stuff. Pulled him out. For what? To get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 relievers who couldn't get it done.
And the best one didn't even pitch.
Takes one bad performance. It's like their script. It's like, and I wonder if they would sit you down in the Dodgers offices today, go, we did it the right way. We do it again tomorrow. You hear them double down. Oh, we would have done the same. The percentages should have gone our way. Even though they're going home, percentages will go our way. And you know what they'll do next year? They'll win 105 games next year. And then what if it happens again and again and again? That's where they want to sell you the crapshoot of the postseason. See, there's no analytic for swagger. There's no analytic for guts. I don't know, Cody, I might be wrong. Is there a analytic for guts?
No, not that I know of.
Is there an analytic for swagger?
No.
Is there an analytic for toughness?
No.
See, that's the stuff that plays at this time of the year. That's what plays. And a manager needs to be able to say, this is who I feel can get the job done. Not the guy before the game that says, well, the data says this. How's that? Would you say their data has worked in the postseason?
No, it hasn't, especially recently with the starting pitching. You have an all-time great, a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer in Clayton Kershaw, and you're only letting him pitch 5 innings.
I mean,
That's it.
I like seeing it because it's throwing it in. It's throwing it in. I mean, we had Mike Petriello the other day, who came on, who's obviously his work is analytics for MLB.com. You see him on MLB Network, and he's still going to back Soto like he's Ted Williams. Juan Soto and the Padres are moving on. Do you know what Juan Soto hit in the series, the NLDS?
I'm just gonna take a wild guess to say like 215.
188.
But he walked though. Oh, and he played some bad defense too.
He walked one time.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. And his defense was really bad. There was a couple balls that were hit over his head. He looked bad.
Oh yeah. The one Muncie he got he was deking. No, he couldn't get to the ball because he's got no range. His defense is terrible. Juan Soto in 4 games in the NLDS, Mr. Walks, and he's the king of OPS. His OPS was 485. That's a guy you're going to give $500 million to. And by the way, Aaron Judge, I did some numbers there. You ready for Aaron Judge?
He struggles versus the Guardians.
Aaron Judge in his last 16 postseason games is hitting 152 with a 563 OPS.
Yeah, it's not good. And I know he struggles really bad against the Guardians.
You know what his career is in the postseason? Because he's played a lot. 219. 219 average. His OPS is 807 because he has 24 walks. But he doesn't have a whole lot of anything else. He does have 12 home runs. But he hit 219. He doesn't hit. So it's like, oh my God, we're living in this era. Like this is not a small sample size for Juan Soto. Now has played a lot in the postseason. Aaron Judge has played a ton. Man. Aaron Judge get booed at home.
That's not good.
I mean, he's great, and he's going to win the MVP, and he had one of the greatest years we've ever seen. But, man, you put him in the postseason. Last 16 postseason games, hitting 152. Oh, that's hard to believe. All right, coming up next, on this date in baseball history, it's Oakland A's related. Next, right here on A's Cast Live.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the Last Dive Bar. Hi, everyone. Ken Korak here, and my friends at Last Dive Bar are helping us celebrate our longtime home. Last Dive Bar has the most unique merchandise for all Oakland baseball fans. T-shirts, sweatshirts, the Ray Fosse line, and my personal favorite, the lights have taken full effect. Visit their website at lastdivebar.com or follow them on social media at Last Dive Bar. All proceeds are invested back into the A's Community Fund and their affiliated charities. Go to lastdivebar.com. That's lastdivebar.com.
Hitting the road with the family. On your way to nonstop adventures. No worries ahead, because you know you can stop at a Chevron station along the way. Get fuel for your car, fuel for your crew. That's Chevron with Techron for unbeatable mileage and snacks for all. Coffee for mom, chips for the kids, cold drinks for dad. You know, for the road ahead. Toss in some laughs, out-of-tune singing, and a zillion "Are we there yet?" And you just made lifelong family memories. Chevron, together ahead.
The skipper, Mark Kotze, was on A's Cast Live and discussed his message to the club heading into the offseason.
I was loud and clear yesterday. We had a discussion about obviously what we've done this year, how we've grown, and the expectation level for next year in terms of the preparation, right? And it was built off yesterday's or the night before's game in terms of, you know, just the transitional from the guys that are on the roster that won't be here, the guys in the room that should be here, and the guys in the room that, you know, need to continue this culture. And that's that grit, right? We talk about this long-term perseverance, you know, this commitment to a goal, right? And it starts now, and it starts in their training for this offseason. So like you said, no guaranteed contracts, 33 rookies, 64 players, I think, or more.
64.
You know, and just the focus has to be, we're going to come out next year, we're going to continue to incrementally and get better, but with the expectation to win.
To listen to the full interview and much more, go to athletics.com/A'sCast.
Coming in at 5'3", it's number one mom. She switched to Xfinity and got the all-new 3-for-1 bundle. Unlimited internet, streaming, and Xfinity Mobile. All for what you could pay wireless companies for just one 5G unlimited line. Boom shakalaka. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game times, schedules, and more.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine with your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
When Northern California businesses need some pop in their lineup, they call the bank rooted in the East Bay. Mechanics Bank. Since 1905, Mechanics Bank has been helping Bay Area and Northern California businesses find success and perform at the top of their game. See how they can make a difference in your business today. Call or stop by your local branch or visit mechanicsbank.com. Mechanics Bank, the official East Bay bank of the Oakland A's. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Like sports, business is about winning.
Championship decisions are business decisions based on what it takes to help your company win. And that's why there's UBO Business Services, specializing in helping you win every day by streamlining workflows, managing documents, and providing the best-in-class office technology. Make your championship decision with UBO Business Services. Visit them at ubeo.com. That's ubeo.com.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
You know what, Cody? I sometimes forget. This is one of my favorite hats.
Hold on, I'm going to go back to the video. Oh, that's the, I remember that hat. I have that same one. It is a good one.
It's a good lid. Black, goes with everything. That's a cool thing about this time of the year. We start busting out all the different crazy gear. I got my Razor Ramon shirt to bust out on Wednesday.
I'm saying I've been waiting for you to bust out the Razor Ramon shirt that I got for you. I know you're a big fan of the bad guy, the late Scott Hall.
I mean, I couldn't do it with you not here.
Yeah, I wore my DX shirt last week. I'll have to find. I'm sure I have plenty of other wrestling shirts in my closet.
What happened on this date, October 17th, 1974?
Which highlight would you like me to use? There's a couple.
Play 'em all.
All right. Well, we'll play the first one. This happened in the bottom of the second inning to increase the A's lead.
Ray Fosse steps out. On deck is Dick Green, who's been a defensive whiz down at second base for the A's in this series. The strike one pitch from the right-hander Sutton. And there's the curve hit deep to left field. Back goes Buckner. The curveball is hit out of here, and it's 2-0. Fosse gets the home run.
Our guy Ray going deep in the World Series against the Dodgers.
And Don Sutton.
Off Don Sutton. Then Don Sutton would throw at him in an old-timers game because he could never get over it. Pretty cool. What else happened?
This happened in the seventh inning of Mike Marshall, friend of the program. Joe Rudy went deep.
The A's have not scored since the second, and Ray Fosse homers. There's a long drive. Go! Boy, he hit it. No doubt about it when he left the bat. And an interesting part of the home run is during the delay of the game when the object was thrown in left field, Mike Marshall did not take one warm-up pitch. In fact, he walked out toward left field to get into the argument out there. He didn't take one warm-up pitch, and maybe that cost him.
And then, well, we know who, as Reggie Jackson once told us, when Raleigh Fingers came into the game, you can grab your coat and your hat because you knew the game was over. Here's the final call.
By the way, wasn't that such a classic old school saying right there? Coat in your hat.
Yeah, for sure.
When's the last time you went out with a coat or your coat and a hat?
Probably 2008 when I lived in Pennsylvania when it snowed.
This is the famous ball back to Raleigh Fingers, and it is ball game over.
With a familiar voice on the call.
Now the A's are 1 out away, and the batter will be Vaughn Joshua, batting for Steve Yeager. Joshua hitting for Yeager, 2 out in the ninth. It was Joshua who hit against Fingers last night. He hit a fastball up the middle, and Green, as always, was in the right spot to turn in the game-ending double play. Fingers said later he was going to move Green, but Green, a marvelous positioner, and he decided to let him stay, and it was just as well for Fingers. 1 out away from the championship by the Oakland A's. Fingers deals a comebacker. Fingers has it and throws to first. here at the Oakland Coliseum. High up in the heavens, the rockets are going off. Down on the field, thousands of youngsters pouring out of the stands. The ball players battling for their lives to get back into the dressing room, and the A's have done it. They have beaten a young and inexperienced Los Angeles club 4-1. And in 4 wins, 3 of the 4 games decided by the score of 3-2.
1974. The A's became one of only 2 franchises in the history of our game to win 3 straight World Series. The A's and the Yankees. And the A's are the only other team that had a chance to do it again with the Yankees. Obviously, the Yankees have done it multiple times. 88, 89, 90. And you look at this series, it wasn't even a contest. Athletics won game 1 at Dodger Stadium. Lost game 2 at Dodger Stadium. All right, you split first 2 games that you did on the road, and then you come back and you win 3 straight at home. And it's over. By the way, time of the games, 2:43, 2:40, 2:35, 2:17, 2:23. A much different game. But you had winner of game 1 was Raleigh Fingers. Catfish Hunter had the save. So you had starters that came in relief. You had all of that. But the A's are dominant. They were absolutely dominant. They won the World Series 3 straight years. When you beat the Reds and the Mets and the Dodgers, it's a pretty big deal. And this was a Dodger team that was stacked. The Reds were stacked. I'm not going to say the Mets were stacked, but the Reds were stacked. The Dodgers were stacked. They beat great teams. And that leads us into, by the way, you can buy spring training tickets now. Get ready. Spring training, Mesa, Arizona, let's go. We're going to be there.
We will be there. We'll be there for fantasy camp too. Get your tickets, athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring. We're going to have something cool coming up on Friday. Don't want to spoil it now, but
very cool. On Friday, we got a special coming up on Friday.
Yeah. Am I allowed to promote what guests we have for that show or?
No.
No. Okay. We'll save it.
Well, I mean, you're kind of giving it away.
Well, I am giving it away. It's David Feldman.
That's not the special guest.
Yeah, there we go. We'll keep it under wraps. Well, Feldy will be on with us, but
wait a minute. I'm trying to think about this. Would it give it away?
I don't know. Let's just hold on to it.
All right.
Let's
when
reassess.
Can we announce?
Well, I'll ask. Vito's here, the man in charge.
Okay.
I'll ask.
Are you ready? You're buying or selling for me before we get out of here?
Oh, well, I haven't done that in so long, but yeah, give me a second though. There was another home run that happened on the state. Let's see if you remember what this home run was. 17 years ago. Well, one guy's career got transcended even more, and another guy's career, well, never was really the same. Here we go.
0-1 to Poole. In the air, left field, and Pujols has given St. Louis the lead. A dramatic, towering 3-run home run. Stunned in disbelief here in Houston. A single by Eckstein, a walk to Edmonds, and how about Albert Pujols?
He got the slider, but it was not a good slider. Stayed right over the middle of the plate.
That was Tom Brenneman. I believe that's Tim McCarver on the call. I think it was him. Anyway, that was Albert Pujols hitting the home run that still hasn't landed off Brad Lidge at Minute Maid back in 2005.
Brad Lidge now on MLB Radio, Sirius XM.
Yeah, that I don't think he ever really recovered from that home run. And Pujols went on to have a nice little career after that. Continued.
It's decent.
Yeah, I would say I think he's done well for himself.
He's not a first ballot.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to. I think he might have to wait for that new air game committee.
Sweat it out. He might have to sweat it out a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got? Buying or selling?
All right, hold on. We haven't played this intro forever. Let's just reintroduce.
Be ready. Let's go.
It's time for buying or selling.
Sell, sell.
Right now with Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live.
Okay, well, like I said, I have some stuff on here that's prepared for a while ago, but I'll start with this one. We already talked about it. Buying or selling, the Dodgers are making the right decision bringing back Dave Roberts.
I'm gonna sell. I don't think it is a good decision. If you're going to continue down this road, at some point, I mean, why would you believe as a player? Why would you believe in him? You just know and even though the next guy you're bringing in is going to be a puppet too, just at some point you need to change puppets. I mean, that would be my opinion. Because right now, I mean, if you're a player for the Dodgers and you look how everything's run and you look what happens in the playoffs, you got to be saying, like, really? I mean, some of these pitching changes, the players themselves have to be saying, really? This is what we're doing? It's not healthy.
There was one guy that I could see them going after in free agency to plug a hole for them, because Trey Turner's a free agent. And he wasn't very good defensively in that series for them. He made a couple mishaps. Great offensive player. He can steal bases. Maybe the greatest slide in the history of baseball. But Carlos Correa is a very interesting name out there. And they need a guy with swagger, a guy that plays good defense, a guy that can hit. And he could be a guy they can plug in his shortstop. If they let Trey Turner go, you give him whatever. Maybe a deal similar to what he got with the Twins. He'd be great for the Dodgers. Now, are they going to win the World Series? Who knows? But he'll bring that it factor that I think they kind of lack.
Do we need to go over the bullpen guys that they had in the elimination game?
No. I mean,
Walker Buehler is not going to be back.
Kershaw's a free agent.
Bauer is not going to be back. Kershaw, who may be gone. I mean, Carlos Correa, I mean, yes, I agree, no doubt agree with you. They need pitching. They need a lot.
Yeah.
They need starters. They need relievers. But I'm just saying, just from a message, right? Dave Roberts has been there how many years?
2016 was his first year.
Like, you've now watched this. I mean, as a Dodger player, cleaning out your locker and going to your car and thinking about the offseason, I mean, is it going to be effective to have Dave Roberts say anything to everybody? I mean, at what point do the players go, man, you got no pull? At some point, I mean, some players have to feel that way, right?
Yeah, it'll never come out until like something if Dave Roberts moves on. But we saw that they're picking up his option. He'll be back next year. Or saying that he'll be back next year. And you said something. He has a 3-year deal.
He signed a 3-year extension which kicks in next year. So if you fired him right now, you'd have to pay him for 3 years. I don't know what the outs are, but his 3-year extension kicks in next season.
Another guy that's a free agent for them, Tyler Anderson, I think was only a 1-year deal for $8 million, and he's a guy that pitched well for them. He's a free agent also. So there's another guy you're going to have to replace, and your guys in the minors aren't pitching long in the games as it is. They got a lot of work to do this offseason if they want to get – no, they'll probably still win the division again next year. They won it 9 out of 10 years. But if you're Dave Roberts and you're trying to – you can't be having – the clubhouse can't be listening to you the entire time, and that's a sign of bad things to come if you lose that clubhouse, especially if the clubhouse has a lot of veterans. All right, last one. The Toronto Blue Jays need a manager in 2023 because remember, they fired Charlie Montoyo halfway through the season and replaced him with bench coach John Schneider. The Blue Jays went 46-28 and were one of the wildcard teams. They were eliminated by the Mariners. Now, Astros bench coach Joe Espada is interviewed for the White Sox job, and he interviewed for the Marlins. So that's the guy that you would think, okay, he's the guy that maybe the Blue Jays would look at, but they might need a veteran guy that lead that team. Who knows? But buying or selling, John Schneider will be the Blue Jays manager in 2023.
No, I'm selling that too.
Yeah, because you think
I think they got to go out. They got to go out and find somebody.
Yeah, I don't know who though. I mean, if you're an older manager, like maybe a Wash or something that can take over a team that has potential for sure.
Like the old guys. Now it's going to be since Dusty Baker wins the World Series. Now does the value of a Bruce Bochy or Ron Washington go up. Hey, get that older sage with these young guys. How about Bochy in Toronto?
I thought of him. I thought another guy.
Isn't Bochy Canadian?
No, he's French. I thought Bochy was French. I'd have to double check, but I thought for sure he was like born in
French
France.
Canadian?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think he's from Quebec or Montreal. Bruce Bochy is from France, or he's born in.
Yeah, he was born because military.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think Wikipedia has. He lived in South Carolina, Virginia, and then Florida. Yeah, he's a United States guy.
So why not have Bochy? Why not? Once again, if Dusty Baker leads the Astros and it's a copycat league, let's get the older guy who's done it before, bring him in here. And Bochy brings those 3 World Series rings with all that talent in Toronto. Hey, Yankees lose tonight. Who's managing the Yankees?
It's a good question. I had that on there too. Is Aaron Boone back next year? Who knows?
Bochy, the Rangers have interviewed Bochy. There may be a run on Bochy. You might have Bochy interview with the Yankees, with the Blue Jays. Who else is going to need a manager?
White Sox. Is there anyone else we're forgetting? Does this have a manager? Well, the Angels re-up Phil Nevin, so he's still there. Yeah, White Sox, Blue Jays are for sure right now. I don't think we're missing anyone else that replaced the manager. Oh, Miami.
Yeah, Bochy's not going to Miami.
Yeah, no, probably not. So we'll save the rest for tomorrow or for Wednesday. Maybe we'll have a game 5 tonight. If not, we'll have it tomorrow.
And we got to figure out when we can announce our big news.
Yeah, no. Like I said, once we're done here, I'll go ask Vito, the big boss, and see if when we can forward promote, as they like to say in the industry.
And remember, spring training tickets on sale now.
Athletics.com/spring to get them.
We're going to be back to a regular spring training. Isn't that going to be great?
Yeah, and it won't be rushed like it was last year with different players coming in and out and who was going to be here. It'll be nice.
And you're going to have guys to watch. You know what's going to be interesting about this spring training is you're going to have a lot of players fighting for jobs. So it's just not get a guy a couple at bats and he's out of the game. All these innings, all these at bats that you're going to watch at spring training mean something. You got guys battling for spots on the 26-man roster. No, not 28 like you want it, Cody, and you want it to be 32 and have more relievers. It's going to be 26 guys, and you're going to have everybody battling for those slots. So this spring training, you're going to see a lot of competition. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're looking at the future of the team. What will Soderstrom and Geoff and these guys do? We know they probably won't make the club out of spring training, but to see them play in Arizona for a little bit, knowing that the future, their time in Oakland's coming, it'll be great to watch.
We want to thank the great Sarah Langs, Geoff Blum, Roxy Bernstein, and Tom McCarthy for joining us on A's Cast Live. We will replay this show in case you're just joining us and you missed it. And we'll be back on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Who are we going to have?
So far, we have Jim Callis from MLB Pipeline to talk about the A's system, because there's going to be a game going on when we're on the air. So I'll reach out to Franny because remember, he's doing pre and post. So that might have to be a tape with Franny so we can be able to talk to him. I don't think he's going to want to talk during the game.
He can talk during the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll tell him you said that.
Yeah, tell him he can talk during the game. All right, everybody, thank you for listening. We'll see you on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Enjoy A's Cast.
The Coliseum has gone by many names, but none better than the